The boys you know are back, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the very first episode of NXP Podcast in the year 2019. This episode will mark some pretty big changes for the podcast, which I will touch on later. As always, I want to introduce our amazing panel of hosts. So flanking on my left, we've got Danny D's World. Danny, how you doing, bro? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And we honestly made it by the skin of our teeth this time. So it's an improvement from last year.
You see, look at that. 2019 is the year where we break all boundaries, but more on that later. Flanking on my right, we have got Rots112. What's going on, Robert?
What's going on, man? Happy New Year and happy pre-Devil May Cry 5 times.
Literally, I didn't say it. We're not even 2 minutes into this podcast, and this man, you see, it set the tempo for the podcast, and I'm happy about that. And we have got, rounding off the cast, he is back and better than ever. He hasn't taken NyQuil this time. We've got Jamil from Game. What's going on, bro?
What's up, YouTube? Back at you again with another podcast. This is Game Spectrum. Okay, let's go.
Oh my! You did not just do what I think you did.
Yes.
No.
I do not claim this, man. I'm just putting that out there right now.
I know exactly what you did, man.
Hey, man.
I just like to say that Jamil does not represent the podcast as a whole. All of his thoughts are individual thoughts, and yeah, that's what we got to do to keep this shit from being liable. Anyways, gentlemen, let us talk about the new changes for NXP Podcast going forward. So as you guys know, we are probably the most consistent podcast on the face of the planet. I think we can all agree to that, right?
Yeah, in that we actually never show up. Yeah, that's
exactly. We are consistent with being inconsistent, a word that you cannot give out to many, but we have all banded together, our brothers, to rectify that in 2019. And instead of promising you guys that we're going to make this a weekly thing or a bi-weekly thing, we've decided to make this monthly because I think just with the way everybody's life is set up and schedules, committing to a weekly thing really isn't. It's something that we can't commit to ourselves. So if we get together once a month, talk to you guys for a few hours, it gives us time to figure out some things we want to discuss. And of course, it gives you guys a better show, considering we don't have to sit up here for 3 hours every week struggling for topics. So we'll see how that goes going forward. We might do special episodes like, you know, like let's say something monumental is coming out and we need to talk about it. Like, for example, when Avengers Endgame comes out, we'll probably have a interim podcast. Oh, well, then again, that comes out at the end of the month. So, hey, you know what? Whatever point I was making, scrap it. Monthly podcasts are here to stay. I thought I was onto something, and I really was, but evidently not. Gentlemen, you got anything to say about this upcoming change?
I thought we were going to do an in-between Quill podcast thing when Devil May Cry dropped.
Hey, this is news to me, unless Rob was informed of this and didn't tell me.
I thought you guys were talking about it last time.
Oh, well, Rob and I were playing something. We were playing something different. I guess we changed what we were going to do, but you guys will see more on that later.
Yeah, a little bit later. But I was going to say, look at it like this, guys. You miss us when we're gone. So you'll have more time to miss us. And when the time is right, we'll assemble again. Pun intended.
We'll have more time to workshop our bad jokes.
Dead ass, man. And I can already see there's a bunch of detractors in the comments. Anime Gaming Nerd, a longtime fan of the podcast, $5 says you guys will all still fail to All right, you see that type of negativity? I don't need that in my life, so I might ban you for 120 seconds.
No, take him up on that. Take him up on that, and he'll be the one out $15 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I feel like it should be $5 every month that we make it. So if we come back February and March, talk that talk. By the end of the month, okay, so that's 12 months in the year. That's $5 each month. That's $60. So divide that 4 ways. That is $15. So you owe us all eShop games at the end of the year if we make it, AGN.
Yeah.
Congratulations, anime gaming nerd. You are now part of the Strong Arm Patreon.
Yep.
Oh, we got this man Slicer. Oh, you want to? Yo, Slicer, talk that talk, bro. He said these podcast dates are on some Hunter x Hunter scheduling. Wow.
Hey.
Better than Berserk.
Hey, you know. Honestly, I think we actually podcast more often than that, but that's beside the point.
Damn.
And at least our podcast, well, they're visually appealing. Whoops.
Ooh.
Damn.
Hey. No Hunter slander. I will not have it.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's some very attractive walls of text, Chris. Be fair.
Yeah. And all them scribbles too. Scribble like scribbles. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we will address.
Shots already starting.
As I was saying, man, I'm here for that smoke in 2019. People talking that talk, man. Shoot. Anyways, more of these comments later. Let's dive directly into our first topic, and we might as well because it literally just dropped yesterday. Metroid Prime 4 canceled, being rebooted by Retro Studios. Guys, I don't know about you, but this right here, you know what? Because Danny and Javiel have been wanting to talk about this for the past day. That's literally been the entire group chat. I am going to leave it to them. Leave it. Me and Rob, we gonna pretend that me and Rob, we gonna go away for a bit. We just gonna psych ourselves up to this Bloody Palace coming out in April. All right, yeah, gentlemen, go ahead, do your thing.
Have at it.
Yeah, you want to go first?
No, you go first.
All right, so all I gotta say is the Square curse has been passed. Kingdom Hearts 3 is here, but Metroid got reset. So next 5 years, we wait. Bang bang. Also, my biggest, I guess, the only real issue that I really have with the Prime being reset is that I don't know why Retro wasn't working on it to begin with. Like, this all would have been, this would save us a headache a long time ago if they just were like, Retro's the one making it. But instead, they wanted Bamco to make it, and like, Bamco's never, to my knowledge anyway, correct me if I'm wrong, but has Bamco ever even made a game like Prime? Just like any like FPS or anything? Yeah, see? I don't know why they would get them to make it.
Well, my only concern with that, though, too, is Retro Studios today is not the same Retro Studios that it was back then. Mm-hmm. A lot of the people who worked on those games are gone now. So there's absolutely no guarantee that game's actually going to be of the same caliber the other ones were. I mean, and even honestly, even if they were all still there, there's still no guarantee of that. I mean, look at that No More Heroes game that just dropped for the Switch. That was not what people were expecting.
Oh yeah, didn't it like bomb?
Something like that, yeah.
It didn't bomb, but everyone's just kind of lukewarm to it, considering it's not a. Well, I mean, I'll touch on more on that later, but continue. Say what you gotta say. Talk that talk.
Well, it's just, I mean, there's no guarantee that this is a good thing. And a lot of people like to point to Miyamoto's quote, and I'm just sitting there. I think the funniest thing that I've ever seen anyone do to take down that quote, too, was remind people that this is the man who developed Star Fox Zero. So, but yeah, it's just a case of, he said once that a rushed game is bad forever, but a delayed game will eventually be good. And we've seen, especially in recent years, that is very much not always the case. And especially when you have to swap development between two studios. I can think of another game recently that it didn't even swap studios. It just swapped teams inside the studio. And had to basically restart from scratch and got major delayed. And look what we still got. And that's Final Fantasy 15.
Yuck.
I mean, it's not always a guarantee that is going to, fix everything. And it does also bring up the question of exactly how many problems were they having internally for this to happen. And also, I just want to say that I expect an apology from every single person who insulted me for not being hyped because Nintendo showed a JPEG of a logo. I just, that supposedly won them that E3. That's all I gotta say.
All right, okay. So it's time for me to come with that smoke. You know me, the #1 Switch fan on YouTube. All right. So first things first. Yeah, this is definitely an L on Nintendo's part as far as managing it. Like, how do you have a game as anticipated as Metroid Prime, a game that has been a franchise that was gestating for an entire decade? You knew what announcing this game would be for people, and you decide to hand it off to Bandai Namco. I know it's deeper than that. They had some internal teams working on it, but from what we've been hearing, they had a bunch of satellite developer studios working on it, which is why it ended up being such a problem, because some studios were further along than others and they weren't really up to par. That right there is mismanagement on Nintendo's part, and they should take the L for that, which is why they came out and apologized. Not every studio can be like Ubisoft. Ubisoft, the fact that they can have like 8 different teams working on an Assassin's Creed game is kind of an anomaly, and they've had to build themselves up to that throughout the years. But as we've seen, sometimes that doesn't work out, like with Assassin's Creed Unity. So for Nintendo to do this, hand the keys to their franchise to developers that they haven't vetted, I wasn't a fan of that. And the fact that this is going to be pushed back another 2-3 years goes to show you that Nintendo this generation is appealing to the hype culture. Like, didn't we get criticized in the past for saying that Nintendo's been announcing so many games in advance? I could have sworn that was a Sony and Microsoft thing. Isn't that what the Nintendo fans used to say?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I seem to recall the delay Station 4.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm just counting all the games. Breath of the Wild, how many years from inception to release? Yoshi was announced in 2017. Fire Emblem. Let's see, Shin Megami Tensei 5.
Which apparently only started development last year.
Oh, excellent. But we're going to put that on our presentation. Let's see, what other games did they announce? And then technically Travis Strikes Again. That was announced years ago. Man, how many of these freaking games is Nintendo going to prod out there? Like, and yeah, of course, some of them aren't first party, but the fact that they're announcing games that are like very early in development is kind of telling. You know, it's like, come on now. Like, how many games read a list? Like right there, that's what, 4-5 games. Animal Crossing. They straight up announced Pokemon Gen 8 before it was probably even fully being worked on. Like, it's like, this shit right here is something that Sony's gotten flack for, Microsoft has gotten flack for, but with Nintendo, we give them a pass because why?
Because it's Nintendo. That's about it. And it's the same thing with the whole Metroid Prime 4 situation too. This delay and how they were so open and upfront and honest about its delay and how it was being rebooted basically internally and how they were changing teams, and no other studio does this. This transparency and honesty is so beautiful. It set a new standard for the game industry, and it literally—
That was an article, by the way.
It literally ignores how— well, it was an article. It was a video by Young. Yeah, it was a video by every other YouTuber out there that covers video game news, because they had to parrot the same narrative. But it also ignores how many other studios have been open and upfront. They will tell you, our game's being delayed. Here's why. We're encountering some problems. We need to make sure this is polished because we don't want to send you a broken game. You know what they get? Memes. Nothing, solid memes. Walls of memes. Even when they're open and upfront about it. Like Final Fantasy 15, to its credit, even though it did turn out to be still a crappy game, when they were doing that, they were open about it. They were upfront about it. They explained very much why they did it. They explained that they had to ship to a completely new engine. Everything. And people still gave them crap for it right up until they revealed the release date. And then they had to play it again.
That's because Nomura and Tabata didn't get in front of a screen and start crying. That's why.
Well, I mean, and who was it? Uncharted 4, when they had to delay that.
Yeah.
Druckmann got on the PlayStation blog, wrote out an entire post about what was going on, why they ran into hiccups, gave an update at least on what they had gotten done so far, you know, and that included screenshots and included video, everything. And they still got razzed for announcing that game way too early and the game being delayed and pushed back. Like, these studios, these other studios have done it. Okay, I'm not going to say everyone does it. I'm not going to pretend it's like a massive industry-wide thing, because a lot of times, especially with your Ubisofts, your EAs, your Activisions, they will, you know, just keep that stuff really quiet on the down low. They won't tell you what's going on. They keep things hidden and secretive. And then next thing you know, your single-player game that you were expecting turned into a multiplayer online-only MMO. But But I mean, it's not unprecedented, and yet people are acting like Nintendo is literally the first company to ever do this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just and when you look at something like what Jason Schreier did, and this is what irks me about not only him. I love his reporting, but my God, the man. When it comes to some of his personal opinions, the way he frames arguments is terrible. Like he set this up so that his base comparison was this announcement versus Diablo Immortal. Okay. And how those were handled. And it's like, okay, but that's kind of apples and oranges here, first and foremost. And second of all, the reason that he did that is because when people would say you're only doing this because of Nintendo, he would then fall back on Diablo Immortal. And he would say, well, Diablo Immortal did this was genuinely horrible. Look at what Nintendo did by comparison. It's like, that's good. What you need to do then, if you want to argue with Mr. Schreier's point there, is you need to then point to all the other games that have done the same thing that Mr. Schreier and company did not say was a shining beacon of example for the rest of the industry. And that's the point. That's the problem. That is how you expose someone's bias. You don't just say, well, it's because you're biased. That's not an argument. That's just an accusation. Don't make accusations. If you want to prove that somebody has a bias towards someone, point to a time when another company did literally the exact same thing that they're acting like this company is the first one to do, and basically have them try to explain why that's not the same thing. And the fact of the matter is there is a lot of Nintendo bias in the media, and I do actually get that. There's a lot of Nintendo bias everywhere. A lot of people have very fond nostalgic memories of Nintendo, and whether they realize it or not, that is going to bias them a little bit. But it's just when it comes to something that's actually somewhat common, suddenly being, well, honestly, it's like Breath of the Wild all over again. Breath of the Wild supposedly revolutionized open world games, even though they used a lot of tropes that exist already in open world games. So it's just, and I'm not even saying that it's not. I'm okay. I'm gonna go one step further here and say, even though that this is one reason I really dislike Nintendo, it's probably an irrational dislike to a degree, and it's really not their fault that other people do this. But you know, other people do this. It is an issue in the media. It is an issue among gamers. It is an issue, period. And to deny it is just silly at this point.
Yeah, at this point, I feel like if people are trying to deny that there's any type of, I mean, you hear this from Xbox dudes. Xbox dudes always say there's a bias against Microsoft when there really isn't. Like Nintendo has gotten a pass on everything. Like, listen, when the Nintendo Switch launched and we saw that Zelda was running at like what 720p. 20 something frames per second and stuff. It had that game been on Xbox or PlayStation, it would have gotten freaking like the backlash of that shit would have been unheard of. Like you saw what the media did to the Xbox One at the start of this generation, but with the Nintendo Switch, people were like, well, it's portable. What do you expect?
Guerrilla Games got sued over that just because their resolution was dynamic and they didn't make it clear on the box in the multiplayer. Someone literally sued them for that and won.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, people got the energy for this shit. Okay, so Glorious 720p says Zelda was 900p on the Switch. Well, on the Wii U, it wasn't. So, yeah, but nobody tore it apart there. Everyone's like, but the game itself is fun. I mean, it's just like no one wants to come out there and criticize even just like the basic things, whether or not you're a fan of Nintendo, like things that can be addressed. And again, that's because of the platform that it's on. You know, like I love the Switch. I love how Nintendo is kind of turning things around and putting more emphasis on certain aspects. But in terms of management, this is a big L on their part. And I think that people are just giving them a pass because they view it as open transparency. I mean, I just did a video I recorded. I actually do think that being transparent is the best thing, especially given the situation. I do think, like, just comparing it to Mass Effect Andromeda, for a recent example, that game was radio silent up until it came out. Disaster, and then we've heard about it since, and we saw how much it was a disaster. They had like a lot of satellite studios working on the stuff, but yeah, I don't think this is like, for me, this Metroid announcement was kind of like, okay, cool, Retro's working on it, awesome, but then I just moved along. Some people are making it out like this needs to send a message to all the developers in gaming, and I'm like, how?
All right, one thing I want to address in the chat real quick. Anime Gaming Nerd says, you guys should remember that Samus Returns was revealed like an hour after Prime 4. I think it was revealed so early to avoid backlash from a 2D Metroid game only for the 3DS. Name one person that was salty about Samus Returns.
Nobody.
Like,
okay, as a really big Metroid fan, I just wanted a genuine Metroid game. So if all they had showed off was just Samus Returns, I personally would have been fine for that. Clearly, I can't speak for a whole community, but like, damn, at that point, if they were just was like, hey, Samus Returns and all this other shit, I would have been cool. But now I'm sitting let's say they said they just restarted development. Let's say nothing happens with Metroid Prime 4. It's gonna come out 3 years from now. That's 2022 at the earliest. Like, come on now.
Now, see, if you had said that this was to avoid backlash from Federation Force or something, that I would buy. That I would
definitely buy. Yeah.
But no, Samus Returns was something that people really wanted, especially after Nintendo basically, shot AM2R in the head. So and everybody was salty about that, but then they see Samus Returns is coming in and they're like, oh well, it's basically the same thing, only it's official, so this is better. And I don't know a single person that was actually mad about Samus Returns or thought that, that shouldn't be on the 2DS or 3DS. And nobody was like doing that. So I don't understand why they'd have to deflect from any potential backlash for that.
Oh, wait. Okay. So this Samus Returns came out when? 2016? Or was it 2017?
I think it came out last year.
Okay. So it's 2017.
Or the year, but yeah, wow, I'm still stuck on 2018 thing.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So here's the thing. So they revealed that I think it was 2017, and people were salty that it wasn't on the Switch. I guess that's what the general consensus was.
That's what people were kind of upset about. They were like, "Why is it just put it on the Switch at that point?" Which at this point, I kind of do want to agree with that. I still think Samus Returns is a fine game, but it probably would have been better if they just put it on the Switch. Like, I don't know why.
But then again, I will contrast that with this, considering that the Wii U was a flop. And they were probably porting all their games that they were in development for to the Switch. I can see why they'd want it on the 3DS, because that's a guaranteed system seller as opposed to the Switch, which at the time was unproven.
Not to mention the install base was massive. So.
Oh my God, yeah. So that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, the whole Metroid situation, as far as retro is concerned, I know a lot of people are worried that it's not the same quality of people there, but the Donkey Kong Country games, the ones that Retro's been working on, are really good. So if the talent, if they can just bring that level to Metroid Prime, I think we got nothing to worry about. Like, I'm just being real.
That because the team, if I recall correctly, the team that did Bayonetta 2 also did Star Fox Zero. So like,
well, no, but then again, Platinum has their A teams and then they have their D teams.
But it was Hashimoto. Hashimoto's the one that directed Bayonetta 2, if I recall.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. When you look at the Star Fox segment in Bayonetta 2 versus Star Fox Zero, you know that the entire problem with that game. Look, I know people love the guy, but let's be real, it was Miyamoto.
Yeah.
Yep.
Miyamoto, who wanted to reboot it yet again. Miyamoto just can't let go of the past. Miyamoto, who. Oh God! You know what? I could go on a rant for a long time about Miyamoto, but the point is,
he's the reason we don't have an F-Zero game. If you guys didn't know,
he's the reason that Rare actually wound up going to Microsoft. But hey, that's another topic for another day.
Okay, so what was the whole thing about Star Fox and Bayonetta? Like, what was? Wait, did Well, Hashimoto, he was a co-director on Star Fox Zero, though, so I can't fault him for that because that was in collaboration with Miyamoto and Nintendo. Bayonetta 2 is when they were left up to their own devices, so it's not really a fair comparison, Jamil. That's like, like one of your favorite directors is on like a project with a bunch of other people, and it's like, okay, it's not that bad, but it's not that great, but we can see why, What was Retro doing the last 5 years? No one knows exactly for certain what they were doing, but a lot of people figured that they were like making games and scrapping them, similar to what Sony Bend was up to. Because remember, Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Sony Bend in the time between Uncharted Golden Abyss and Days Gone. Weren't they working on like another Vita game that got canceled?
They were working on a Vita game that got canceled, and it was around that same time that they started working on their pitch for Days Gone.
Right. So if you figured that they were working on that Vita game for like a year, 18 months, GF 2012, they spent like a year and a half, and then when they started Days Gone, it would make sense up into the reveal of the game. So I can see that. And yeah, I assume that would be the same for Retro. I just feel like Retro in general has just been really mismanaged after Tropical Freeze, because literally they've just been radio silent in general. Everything.
There was someone, I can't find the tweet at the moment, but I think I posted it in the chat, where they basically said that they had worked at Retro Studios and that there was a game working on that had been worked on there, and that basically their assumption was then that if the game development for Metroid Prime 4 was being shifted there, then they could only assume that the game that he was working on, which he could not say what it was probably either scrapped or shelved for now. So they were working on something, but there were rumors that it was supposed to be Star Fox Racing, I believe. But
right. I mean, what I assume, the general consensus a lot of people think, is that they were working on Star Fox Racing. They're far along development to the point where they can hand it off to like another studio to give it like the final polish, and then they focus 100% on Prime 4. That's what that's optimistically speaking.
If I get a Star Fox Racing game before an F-Zero game, I'm gonna be highly upset. I'm just
what's F-Zero?
Stop playing with me.
Really,
bro.
You know the closest that you're ever gonna get to an F-Zero game is when they release Star Fox Racing, and you can use that Captain Falcon amiibo to make him playable in the game.
Yeah,
I'd buy an amiibo for that.
Spot on right there.
Amiibos are a whole nother rant for me too. So I'm gonna step away for a minute.
I just want to say something real quick. I saw somebody left the comment saying they still make good games. Who cares? See,
oh boy,
this is the thing though. We not saying like, while we know that Metroid probably gonna come out and just be a slapper, you know. It might come out and be fire, you know. We're just talking about have that same smoke that any other studio would have probably got. If any studio would have done this exact same thing and been as upfront about it, they would have, like Danny said, it'd have been memes out their ass.
Oh, dude, the 343 did this with the Halo game.
Keep that same energy.
That's like my personal biggest gripe with just this this entire community is just, I'm all about fairness, you know. I know everybody's gonna have a horse in the race they like, you know. Everybody has something they lean more towards and all that, and I get it, you know. But it's like, have that same energy, you know. That's really my only problem.
I'm gonna say this though, Sony makes good games, but y'all up here crying about fucking censorship of anime titties. But anyways.
Oh, that's another no. Okay, yeah. Stop. You're baiting me. Please stop.
You know, Sony be making interactive movies and stuff, but people got no problem having to clean their horse's shoes and shit so it can run properly in another game. Make sure to clean your horse, because for some reason, if his fur is dirty, the motherfucker can't run fast enough.
Bro, that game be killing me sometimes. But anyways, okay. So moving along from Metroid Prime 4, let's talk about something a bit more positive and a little bit more topical, since it also came out yesterday. Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Yo, that game fire! Everybody play it.
There you go. All right, next topic. So Marvel Spider-Man.
Right here,
All right, so Danny and I haven't gotten a chance to play the game yet, but Rob and Jamil have. So Rob, kick it off, bro. Resident Evil 2 Remake, your thoughts going into it beforehand, any expectations, and the final product. Go.
He just kind of threw a lot on my lap real quick.
Yeah, that's how you do it, bro. You got to make up for the past 30 minutes we've been talking.
Real quick, in my defense, the only reason I haven't played it yet, even though I own it, is because I'm kind of entrenched in Dragon Quest. So what's your excuse, Chris?
I just beat God of War, so you know I'm kind of recovering from that. And you know me, man. Beating games. That shit. That takes a lot.
You're only a year late. That's fine.
No, I actually 9 months.
Oh, Mike. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, someone would have had a baby in that time, but
exactly. So you had a kid. I'd be God of War. Everybody's happy.
It's been detractors, basically.
Exactly. So go ahead, Rob.
No, real quick though, I gotta say I'm very impressed so far with how accurate of it. This is a real remake right here. This isn't like 90% creative liberty and it's sort of similar and all. You see almost exact things you recognize, but a lot bigger now. Like almost the complete opening of Resident Evil 2. Anybody that played it knows the opening scene where they show you all hell breaks loose. It's actually kind of semi-playable in a way, but you recognize specific moments without getting so much into it. They managed to keep the over-the-shoulder perspective most people generally liked more, which started with RE4 and stuff. They managed to keep that, but it's not so action crazy. It's spooky as shit. I do recommend, and I've never been a guy to kind of hinge on this, but you know, like every game tells you adjust the brightness and shit like that. But if you let it be like natural to where you get your best form of sight when you turn the flashlight on, I know some people be scared and they turn the brightness all the way up. They don't need the flashlight and shit like that. But if you let it be natural, that game's pretty spooky. Me and several other people when we played RE7, we was wondering. I was like, man, is Resident Evil going to have to be solely first person for it to be scary again? And no, not really. It's pretty damn spooky. I only beat Claire's stories. Now I got to work with Leon. But man, I really like it. Gave me everything I wanted. It's before everybody went all super cop and shit. Everybody's adjusting to what's happening with the outbreak and stuff. So it's a very good remake. Like some things I directly remember, and I either see it being fleshed out. Being fleshed out, or a lot of it's kind of the same, actually. What about you, Jamil?
I personally, because RE2 is like, I'll go on record saying RE2 is my favorite Resident Evil game. I used to, for a while, as well tied between like 2 and 4, but this remake, I'm sorry, I gotta give it the 2, man. Like I literally just beat Leon's campaign. Like I want to say like 20 minutes ago. It's honestly everything you could possibly want in a remake, from the atmosphere, from like the controls, and also I got the deluxe edition, so it came with DLC to where you could switch out the OST to where it goes back to the original RE2, and when you play with that, man, it is perfect. Definitely pick up Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, and also did you guys know that zombies are made out of vibranium? I just shot motherfuckers in the forehead like 9 times, bro. And it's just like shit.
Yeah, I actually noticed that in the demo, and to be perfectly blunt, I actually kind of like that bit of detailing, just because when you look at the size of the gun you start with, like realistically, I don't see that like completely obliterating the brain. So, I mean, to me, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of, for the most part. There were a couple of times though where it's like, yeah, no, that's like point blank 3 times in the same spot, you know, and then you drop, and then it's like 5 seconds later you're getting back at stay down.
It's just
I kind of like the resilient zombies because it leans more credence to how you could see realistically the city could have got overrun if zombies can take like 6 shots to the head and not go down.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, truth be told, when you consider the fact that the brain's supposed to be destroyed before they can, cease function, and you take into consideration exactly what parts of the brain actually control those functions, like you could essentially obliterate someone's entire frontal lobe and they could still move. So,
I mean, let's be real. I mean, I get it. It's not like I expect it to be, running gun and pop them in the head and automatically drop on one shot. The Walking Dead has kind of built that up.
Oh, I know. There are times it does get silly, though. There are times.
Yeah,
I do think they kind of threw that in there, though, as a curveball to like the veteran players who figure, okay, you're down, and then it's like, you think, okay, now I can start like looking around here, and then suddenly the thing gets back up, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, and it kind of puts you on the track of having to take it a little semi old schoolish. So it's like because they had like actual like limb physics, so I would like pop them in the leg when they fall over and run around them. Sometimes if I didn't have bullets to spare, stuff like that. One of my favorite funny ass moments though is when I walk into a room and I catch one of them just laying there, and I know they're going to get up, and I just run up and just start stabbing them while you on the ground.
Because then they gotta slowly get up, and I'm like, nah. See, you for the whole.
I call one dude Slipper. He was just laying there. I just ran up, started cutting his ass. Somebody's leg came off. He was trying to get up and shit. Bro. Like, nope, stay down.
But and also there has been more rumors about RE3 getting a remake too, which if
RE3 gets a remake, it's fine.
Oh god. See, okay, yeah. See, I've been hearing a lot of stuff about, no spoilers, thankfully, but I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about Mr. X and Resident Evil 2.
Oh my god, I'm
and
crying.
If even half of those things are true, I cannot wait to see what they would do with Nemesis in a remake. So
yeah, that's all everybody knows is the Nemesis. Looking right past you. Like, all right.
Oh god.
Well, excuse me.
He was in Marvel's Capcom Infinite for a reason. He's the most famous character in Resident Evil. So
him and Chris.
You know what's the best? The best part about it is
funny
enough. It's great seeing a lot of people who've never played Resident Evil 2 play, and their reactions to all this shit. It's both endearing and it's also fucking hilarious.
Because people try to play it like a traditional third-person shooter and like kill everything they see. I'm like, don't do that. You're gonna be out of ammo, dog.
I saw this one dude. He unloaded like his whole clip, and I'm like, fam, that's not what you want to do right now.
Yeah. That's not a battle you need to win with generic floor zombie right now.
Yep.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah.
Nemesis is the best Resident Evil character.
Uh-oh.
I mean, hey, if he was on Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Marvel vs. Capcom that came out last year, he must be. He fucking must be.
I don't know. God. Like honestly, I'll be one of the first people to admit that he's like, been overexposed and everything, but I do like him in the context of the game. I liked Resident Evil 3 a lot. I like Chris and Jill. They're like two of my favorite characters, so it was nice getting to play as Jill again. But honestly, even before Resident Evil 3 remake, they need to give this treatment to Dino Crisis. Need to.
Yes.
Like, I would give almost anything to have Dino Crisis remade like this.
That would be excellent.
Capcom's really been on the come up. Like, fighting games aside, it's looking kind of spooky, but like Resident Evil, DMC,
Monster Hunter.
It's been pretty lit.
It's been good. Mega Man, I forgot that came out.
I heard Mega Man was trash.
About the only
really, I heard it was okay.
No, Mega Man 11 was great.
Who bought Onimusha though?
You see, I was gonna buy it, but then Tails came out, and I'm like,
I tried to GameFly it, but that didn't work because GameFly, for whatever reason, decided that they were gonna dip like a lot lower in my queue and send me God Eater 2 instead. Which
ew.
What? I like God Eater.
I don't know, bro. Those kind of not Monster Hunter games really getting on my nerves.
Well, it's not quite not Monster Hunter either. It's a lot more contained. It's a lot more, action focused as opposed to like patience and hunting and traps and everything. So
I love that not Monster Hunter is a subgenre name.
Yo, but here's the thing. I am gonna get Onimusha at some point because that shit is on the Switch. You know me, I'm a whore for that system. But yeah, I think honestly, with Okami HD coming back like for the 7th time and Onimusha and all these games, I'm thinking Capcom is gauging the interest. So I wouldn't be surprised if in like the next 2 years or so we get like a new Onimusha or maybe a Dino Crisis. I think after the success of Resident Evil 2 remake, I think Dino Crisis might be on the table.
I need my breath of fire, dog.
All right.
I need another Power Stone game.
Fire would be great, but like honestly though, Dino Crisis. Okay, There are very few games that I like enough to like willingly suffer through tank controls. It's one reason I actually the only version of Resident Evil 1 that I really play is the remake. I kind of half skipped most of Resident Evil 2. Only rented that once. Resident Evil 3 I actually played all the way through. You know, I suffered tank controls for that. Same thing with Dino Crisis. It is rare that you will actually give me a game where I will willingly sit through tank controls to complete that game. That was one of them. That needs to come back, especially in like now with like the Jurassic Park stuff being popular again, dinosaurs being back in the public eye. It would sell. So it's
that's one thing I wonder. There's never been an influx of dinosaur games like that.
What the hell happened? See with Jurassic World, the only thing we got really with Jurassic World was like a mobile game, which was and then we got Jurassic World Evolution now. I think did it come out like last year, last year? I don't know. No, it's a good game. It's actually a really good game. It's it brought back the whole park simulation genre. Like Zoo Tycoon, all that kind of thing. And in that sense, it's great. I love that game. But I would love like an action game based on the Jurassic Park stuff again. And short of that, Dino Crisis would actually be able to give you just that. Having Velociraptors actually stalk you, that kind of thing. And especially the way they could open it up now and everything, that would be insane.
It would. Yeah. You know what else would be insane?
What?
Freedom Wars 2.
Oh, that would be nice.
Somebody brought up Freedom Wars. The entire comment section is like, "Yo, Freedom Wars was lit, bro." That shit. I thought I was the only one. That shit was fun.
Freedom Wars was really fun. I just wish I could play it again, but someone stole my Vita. So,
that's hey, real quick, shout out to Jay Run. I saw your comment, man. Jube Yagi was the GOAT in Onimusha 2. Onimusha 2 is the best of the three.
Yo.
Easily, bro.
Yo, with the freaking Sekiro coming out, yo, we need another Tenchu. That's what we need.
Didn't a little bit of all that shit come back, to be honest, man.
I'm telling you, bro.
Real quick, wasn't Onimusha 3 the one that had what's his name, that French dude in it, Jean Reno?
John Reno, yeah.
I remember seeing him on the cover and thinking that's something.
At that point, start getting weird.
Yeah, Seminole got sent to our time, and John Reno got sent back to his time. So,
yeah. It's like that Superman 3 and 4 territory of weird shit.
Watching Samanosuke look at a car was weird.
I'm waiting for the inevitable Yakuza crossover. We see Kiryu up in that shit in this modern day stuff.
Yo, straight up, like just what?
I could see that. But so Resident Evil 2 Remake, I'll definitely get around to playing it eventually, but I'm happy that everybody's having a great time with it. Speaking of games that we've all had a great time with, let's bring it back to a game that came out last year, Marvel's Spider-Man. Y'all know that we all love the game. We've got to do that special podcast on it, but today what we're going to be doing is celebrating some of the awards and achievements that the game has garnered, because it just hit a pretty damn big milestone. Danny, what's that milestone?
It has become, according to the NPD Group's tracking, the highest selling superhero game in over 10 years.
And that includes every single Batman Arkham game.
Yep.
Just to let you know.
And this game's only been out for 4 months?
Something like that. It came out in September.
4 months. It's so damn.
And it's on how many platforms?
One.
Interesting.
Respect the Spider-Man. Fuck Batman. Yeah, I said it.
Damn, bro. You
he came with that. No, that's not even smoke, bro. That's
this man came up with the Joe Chill. Damn.
Joe chilled out. Joe chilled out his parents. All right, we know that.
Yeah.
So, are you saying Spider-Man is responsible for killing his parents? Jeez,
yes.
That's bleak.
Hey, random. It's very random, but you just made me think about it. Did you guys ever see the very first comic when they showed the Waynes get shot? He shot them for no fucking reason, bro. He was just like, he just shot Thomas, and then he shot Martha for screaming that he shot Thomas. Oh, this will shut you up.
Bam, bam.
Okay, that sounds horrible, but the way you're describing it is fun. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, I mean, at least it's better than, you know, Thomas trying to take a swing at him first.
Oh man, I knew he was gonna do this. I was about to bring that. Yo, if y'all haven't, y'all need to go back and watch the NXP post roast that we did for Batman versus Superman. I've seen this dude Rob go off, but seeing this man, his reaction to Thomas Wayne and BVS trying to get the gun from the guy, that should have me in tears.
Oh, somebody standing in front of you with a gun in your face, all up in your grill, shave and a haircut about to come up, and you think you can swing up? I don't get that. And it's like he has enough time to grip. He has the gun in your face. His finger is on the trigger. He's watching you tell your family to get back, and you try to throw the hook. You thought you could punch faster than a bullet, bro? What? I don't get it, man. That bothers the hell out of me, bro.
I just need to get that as a sound clip. Just whenever I'm feeling down, just listen to that shit. Oh god,
you must be a special type of stupid, bro, to think that shit added up, bro. Like that. I'm up there. I'm trying to carry the wire and all that shit. I don't see how you was gonna punch faster than a bullet, bro. But okay.
Thomas Wayne, the new speedster.
Yeah. Not fast enough.
Damn, son. Oh god. Anyways,
Spider-Man 2 PS5 launch title.
Actually, I think that Spider-Man PS4 might be a swan song title.
Well, the interesting thing is, well, aside from the fact that this game has already gotten like multiple Game of the Year awards, has already basically broken NPD. One of the things that was kind of interesting to learn is that Brian Intihar, the game's creative director, posted a tweet today about, you know, the nerves you feel when you show someone the first draft of your story. So I think that they might be working on Spider-Man 2 already. Now, there is a possibility that it could be another game. I mean, they do have multiple IPs there, but the only one that's had the level of success, you know, that would warrant like greenlighting a sequel almost instantly is Spider-Man. So, I mean, look, I understand people. There are a lot of people who like Sunset Overdrive, and they really want a Sunset Overdrive too. But being realistic, I don't know that that's going to happen. But
I'm gonna come out here and say it. Insomniac did not become a top tier developer until Spider-Man. I'm just coming out there and saying Ratchet and Clank is cool. No, listen. I'll tell you guys why. Naughty Dog did not become Naughty Dog, where they became a force to be reckoned with in gaming until Uncharted came out, and then The Last of Us. Insomniac. How many people actually knew Insomniac like that? Like they knew Ratchet and Clank.
I did.
Danny.
They were my favorite developer, sir.
Yeah, but nobody knew that they made Spyro like that. They knew of Spyro, but they didn't know of Insomniac. How many people actually cared that much? You know, unless you were into this stuff that we do, you know. But when Spider-Man came out, that shit put their name on the map.
They made better Halo too.
You mean Resistance?
Yeah.
So you're just gonna slander? No, you're Daddy. No, have you played Firefight?
That's a fight you don't even start, man.
Have you played Firefight? No, y'all think that people knew Insomniac like that. People didn't know Insomniac like that. They were basically a Sony B studio. Come on.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they were. What the hell are you to bro? All they pumped out was just Ratchet and Clank. No, no.
Insomniac's name.
No, listen. Okay, Ratchet and Clank PS4 was the fastest selling game in the series when they've had infinity amount of Ratchet and Clank games across multiple systems for over a decade, and you're telling me that they were hot like that?
What the fuck?
Yes.
Okay.
To play both sides though, I know a lot of people that like knew Ratchet and Clank, but always rarely remember who made it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
So the game, the stuff could be known, but some people you have to like directly tell them like, no, this is who made it.
Just to address something in the chat, Jack and Daxter was Naughty Dog, and Infamous was Sucker Punch, not Insomniac.
Nah, who said Insomniac? Who said that for Infamous?
Somebody, J-Rock Gaming said so. Infamous, Ratchet and Clank, War of the Monsters.
Oh, okay, J-Rock. Okay, J-Rock Gaming, right there, exactly. So you think you know Insomniac, but you said that they worked on Infamous. Case in point.
Isn't that more kind of an insult to Sucker Punch, really?
Well, exactly. Like, Sucker Punch, man. What have they worked on? I don't even know if they exist.
Infamous, honestly, kind of got them on the map.
Do not disrespect Sucker Punch.
No,
I think Ghost of
Tsushima
is about to be that game for them.
Exactly, and if that game comes out and it's on the level of Spider-Man and Last of Us, y'all will see what I'm talking about. It's also an
extremely unique game because most of the games, even in its subgenre, the whole samurai action game, they tend to focus more on being like arcadey and fast and everything. They're actually, their combat, their speed, their pacing, everything's a lot more slow and deliberate. The multiple pathways you can take to do things, going, slashing away or stealth it. It's going to stand out enough in the genre that I think it's going to be what basically puts them on the map.
Yeah.
Man, exactly. Put some respect on Sly Cooper. That's all I got to say.
Oh, Sly was great.
Sly Cooper is a fun game, but I mean,
honestly, Sly kind of changed developers, and most people didn't even really notice. That's not a slight. It's just, it's actually more a compliment to the studio that took over.
I'm going to be controversial right now. I think that Senzara made a better game.
Oh,
all right, Chris. You know what?
Yeah, exactly. I told you, 2019. No, have you played Thieves in Time?
Have I played Thieves in Time? I mean, things are trash. No, I have not.
Exactly. So you don't, bro. I'm not the only Sly fan who thinks that, dude. Yo, y'all out here talking about games but not playing them. What the fuck? And I don't even beat games like that. Damn.
He really doesn't, yo.
Exactly. So for me to say that means something. Ooh. Anyways, here's another perfect example. How many of y'all knew about Rocksteady before Arkham Asylum? Case.
Okay, that's different though. That's different. Don't do that.
No. Sit down.
No.
Yeah.
No, more like Sleep Steady. They didn't make no damn thing.
No, so Jamil, so you're telling me you were a big fan of the 2006 classic Urban Chaos Riot Response?
Man, what the fuck is that?
Exactly.
I mean, but like in the industry, people have that game where, game, movie, album, whatever. Like you can be known, and then there's breaking the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody kind of strives to have. I think the best example I could probably say is how everybody talks about, and I'll use music for the example. How everybody talks about like Michael Jackson's Thriller. Michael Jackson made some bangers after Thriller, but never past Thriller though. So it's like there's always that one that breaks the ceiling,
Okay, so what you're basically saying is that people knew of them, but this is the game that got everyone paying attention to them and shit. More or less. It elevated them to a higher level where they can compete with like some of the bigger games that come out. I'm not saying that nobody knew about them, but
like when you say Xbox, first studio you think of
Halo
3.
Yeah.
Halo's not a studio.
You think of 343 because they're the ones who make Halo.
Halo gonna come up regardless.
You think EA? What's the first game you think of?
Madden.
Mm-hmm. You think Ubisoft? What do you think of?
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. You think let's see here, Respawn. What do you think of?
A flop.
Damn.
You're wrong for that. You're not wrong, but you're wrong.
Why would you say something so controversial yet brave?
Man.
Let's see.
I'm starting out this
BioWare. What's the first thing you think of?
Knights of the Old Republic.
No. Not your favorite game. The first thing you think of, like in terms
Mass Effect.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better. You think of From Software. What do you think about?
Berserk.
Ninja Blade.
Armored Core.
Dark Souls.
Yeah, actually, Armored Core. Armored Core, yeah. Armored Core was
Dark. I mean, for FromSoft, it's Dark Souls. It's just a Soulsborne type in general because a lot of people like Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne. About like those are like the fan favorites out of all the FromSoft games.
Yeah, true.
And you think of PlayStation, first thing that typically comes to mind is Naughty Dog, Uncharted. I mean, it's that kind of thing. Like Guerrilla, honestly, went from being the Killzone guys to now they're the Horizon guys, and people are paying a lot more attention to them.
Thank God.
Let's see here. Who else? Sony Bend could actually go from being... See, right now, unfortunately, Sony Bend, they're not even remembered for making Siphon Filter anymore. And
that kills me.
Yeah, I know. It breaks my heart because somebody pointed out that they used to be the studio that made Bubsy 3D, and so there are people that are still razzing them for that, even on their Days Gone trailers. Like,
wait, do people hold up? Do people not remember some of Naughty Dog's first games? What the fuck?
No, they don't. No, they really don't. But see, and that's the thing. If you look them up, a lot of the early games of a lot of these big studios now were absolutely terrible. But see, unlike Bubsy 3D, they didn't get turned into a meme by YouTubers. So,
yeah, like. Anyways, but
the point is, this is, Days Gone could be. I don't think it's quite a make or break game for Bend, especially since they're already hiring for another team there right now. But I think that could be what pulls them out of being like a B studio that handles like ports and everything, and actually gets them on the map in terms of being a go-to studio. And Insomniac. Honestly, I think Insomniac kind of had that with Ratchet and Clank, but Spider-Man has definitely given them a lot more spotlight. So.
Fair enough.
I mean,
I'm just waiting for Blue Point's game.
Oh God, whatever.
Insomniac. Spider-Man brought Insomniac to the poker table, the big poker table.
Oh yeah, did you hear that Microsoft's supposedly about to buy Blue Point?
No.
Yeah, we talked about that.
No. Please.
Yeah, so there's a lot of rumor too. See, Blue Point was working on their own game, but they're supposedly working on something for Sony too. And there have been rumors. I can't say for sure that Microsoft might actually basically cancel that contract, and basically whatever game Sony was planning to release through them is going to be gone. I don't think they'll do that just because there could be legal implications for that. But it would basically be you're buying a Microsoft Studios game on the PlayStation, and they're going to try to leverage that.
So let me get this straight. We have Nintendo out here who's just funding games, doing collaborations, and then Microsoft is just buying whole studios thinking that'll solve their problem.
That's been Microsoft's answer ever since.
Meanwhile,
oh God.
Meanwhile, what I think is really interesting is over at Sony, they are literally every team: Santa Monica, San Diego, Guerrilla, Bend, Naughty Dog, every single one of their studios is on a hiring spree right now. They are like beefing up big time. And they have a brand new studio. They haven't even revealed what the name of it is or what their project is yet, but they have a new studio that a lot of people aren't even aware exists that's currently recruiting talent. One of the guys that they just hired was a former Naughty Dog animator who also just got done working on Red Dead Redemption 2. He did the animations for that game.
I hope that's not. I hope that's not their answer to 343. I hope that's not a studio for Uncharted, because they hired a lot of people who worked on Uncharted, specifically the guy who did the multiplayer. And I don't think they're going to create, especially with them beefing up over at Naughty Dog. I don't think they would create another studio just for Uncharted. I hope not. They got to leave that series alone for about 5 or 6 years.
There has been rumor, though, that they might be bringing Siphon Filter back.
So. They've been rumoring that shit.
Rumors about Siphon Filter and SOCOM.
You remember the rumor of Siphon Filter on PS3?
I'm not sure they even could bring back, just because SOCOM is like actually they'd have to make it like a spiritual successor, just because SOCOM is an actual military organization, and so they'd have to have permission to use the name.
So they can bring back the criminally underrated PlayStation Vita title, Unit 13, call it Unit 14.
Or Mag 2.
Yo, Mag was ahead of its time.
That would solve their multiplayer problem right there.
That honestly, that'd be dope. I think Sony needs to make a big push towards multiplayer next generation, but we'll talk more about that later on. Spider-Man, though, I'm very happy about its success. I'm surprised the game is selling as well as it is, especially it being exclusive. A lot of people assume that would like half its chances of being a success. Well, evidently not.
The sheer number of people that I've seen actually say that they literally bought a PS4 just to play Spider-Man is.
I mean, you know how many people be using that photo mode.
What's funny though is you see all these people who bought a PS4 just for Spider-Man because they thought there weren't a whole lot of games on the system for them to play, and now they're discovering Horizon, and now they're discovering God of War, and now they're discovering all these other games, and they're like, why the heck did I not hear about these sooner? And I'm like, I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, it normally comes off of being so overly loyal to one side. You're trying to miss out on everything in some aspect. But man, this just goes to show that through all the bullshit, good games sell. Games will sell if it's fire.
And if anything, it shows the importance of good exclusives because Nintendo was already starting to get ready to lap Microsoft, and it's because people, for whatever reason, like their exclusives.
Hey! Don't you dare slander the Switch in this podcast. I will say though,
oh, Jesus.
Most of Nintendo's exclusives last year were pretty abysmal.
And now you got PlayStation putting out good exclusives all gen. What's happening? They're beating Microsoft over 2-1. They're almost to 100 million. Microsoft only just now hit 41 million units sold.
Isn't the Switch about to hit that shit like next year?
And the only reason we know that or have an idea of that is because an analyst broke silence and said that that's the best estimation there is out there right now.
I mean, like, didn't it say Super Smash Bros. For the Switch was like the fastest selling exclusive since Halo Reach or something like that?
Oh yeah, there we go, Nintendo baby.
I still don't get the hype for Smash.
Hey man, I don't get the hype for Mario, to be real with you.
Now I'll say this though, just okay, 8-player Smash portable. That's all you need, man. Dude, Smash selling that thing ain't surprising, bro.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not big on like co-op and multiplayer stuff.
I just hope Smash can last until whatever the next Switch game is that drops.
Hey, we just got Travis Strikes Again, bro.
Man,
it better strike again.
Okay, that's my issue with
Travis Strikes Out.
No, okay, my issue with Travis Strikes Again is that Suda51, he was like, in order for him to, if he wants to make No More Heroes 3, he was like, Travis Strikes Again needs to be successful. And I'm like, wouldn't it have been easier to just remaster No More Heroes 1 and 2 for the Switch? Like, because those games already exist. Wouldn't that also have been not only quicker, but also cheaper? Like,
yeah. Because I remember years ago, like, this is, I think, back, on the PS3, they were saying porting a game cost like $1 million or some shit. So it shouldn't be that crazy.
Look, okay, just for clarification with the chat here, I'm not saying Smash is a bad game at all. I'm just saying I don't see the appeal of it at all. I fully understand that other people like it. You know?
Yeah, it's just different.
Shit again. On that boogie and shit again. But nah, for real though. Look, Smash has the benefit of they have like what 8 different audiences that they can pull. You have people that play this shit competitively. You got people that do play this shit competitively. You got people that love Mario and anything Nintendo exclusive related. And you also got people that like all the guest characters that are in it. I mean, of course it's always going to sell. You got like people from all different nation of fan that's coming. So, I mean, it's not really shocking to know that Smash sells.
I just don't know if I'm ready to give up showers is all.
Bro, I'm just saying these people hyping up and making theory videos on DLC characters for the next year, but they can't walk 5 minutes to aisle 14 at ShopRite. Ugh.
You didn't get that DLC trailer for Axe yet?
Listen. Listen. All I gotta say is Smash. Most what the thing I see in the Smash community. I don't know, man. Looking kind of spooky sometimes.
Yo.
Hey, did y'all?
But
Smash players have permanent hover hand. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey,
yeah.
real quick. Have y'all ever seen the videos of people at Smash tournaments that be like rage quitting when they sitting right next to the dude?
I saw one.
Wasn't there that one guy who like got knocked off the stage like almost right away and then just quit during a tournament or something like that?
Yeah, some people do that. I saw one where the guy kept quitting, kept pausing and quitting, and they restart because he wouldn't get the first hit in, bro. I was just like,
wow.
Let me be sitting next to somebody and somebody rage quit by pressing start in the middle of the tournament and going to quit. I'm like, what? But no, I just thought that shit was funny.
This community. But yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. I mean, Smash Bros on the Wii U sold a metric crap ton, and that system didn't sell much of anything. So on the Switch, it makes logical sense. So yeah, pretty good. Good news for Nintendo. Good sales there. Good news for Sony. Good sales there.
Okay, but
I think there's another company, but I don't know if they got good sales.
Oh yeah, Steam. Captain was a top seller on Steam, if I believe.
Good job, Atlas. Good job, Atlas.
God. Resident Evil 2 apparently had like some of the highest. I think it was like the second highest number of concurrent players for a Capcom game too. So
now that's what worries me, because they said that Resident Evil 7 was a disappointment in sales, and
honestly, that when you look at how much Resident Evil 7 actually sold, though, to me that's another case of these companies keep having very unrealistic expectations of how they want these games to perform.
Well, not just so much. It's more like I would say they just put a lot more into probably marketing, maybe, than they do the actual game. Because I mean, like,
of course,
because like there's no reason. Because like, what did it sell, Danny? Like 7 million for Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, I think
something like that. Yeah, it sold a really good number, and yet somehow that's still disappointing. And see, here's the thing: I don't even think it's because of how much they spend. A lot of this is because a lot of these companies are like publicly traded. And their investors see it's not enough to make good money or enough money or even make a profit unless it is an ever-increasing profit. Your investors are going to basically start dumping. Well, some of them are sane, but like a lot of, especially the day traders, they're just going to start dumping your stock, and that hurts your overall value.
I just think it's probably because they see Call of Duty is making like half a $1 trillion.
I'd believe according to Activision, Call of Duty's numbers are consistently disappointing too.
See, so money is never enough for some of these freaking companies. That's the worst part about it.
Greed is what's going to kill franchises, man.
Meanwhile, Atlas was extremely satisfied. Like when Persona 5 came out in Japan, it sold like 550K its first day, and they were really happy about that. Like, I mean, like that's what I'm saying. Like they have these really crazy ideas of what they expect their games to sell. Resident Evil is never going to sell the way Red Dead Redemption does, or Grand Theft Auto, or some shit like that. And I think they just need to understand that.
And that's the thing, because if they temper their expectations, like, because the thing is, game budgets and game development have skyrocketed, but it's not to a point where you literally need to triple or quadruple the amount of copies you need to sell the game in order for it to be profitable. Because like we've literally seen like Persona 5, for example, that game had been in development for like altogether probably like what, 5 years?
10 actually, if I want to be real with you.
Honestly, the biggest thing that has skyrocketed cost-wise in terms of developing games is actually developing a new engine. But considering the fact that most of these games actually keep using the same engine and even reusing assets, development costs overall are actually down across the industry. It's the marketing, and it's the investor expectations, and it's they want to keep making money off of this, and that's why they're sticking microtransactions into everything too. Because if it's perennially profitable, then they keep making money, which keeps the investors happy. And then it gets to the point though where that was fine at first, the additional income on top of that, but that wasn't enough. So then they started getting to where they focused on it more and more and more, to the point where almost every game that's being announced by some of these big publishers now is this online only service-based game centered around microtransactions and loot box or insane grind to progress.
Reoccurring revenue.
Yep.
Also, Chris, preparatory development for Persona 5 began in 2008, but full development began in 2011 after the release of Catherine.
Right, I remember talking about it in 2011, so that makes a lot of sense. So,
in fact, Ubisoft, though, if I recall, actually referred to it as, what was it they called it? Limitless revenue.
Limitless revenue. Yep. Yeah.
That's what I mean. That right there is the stuff that's going to kill games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but also with RE7, they were trying real hard to push that shit with the VR.
Mm.
And that kind of builds into my own little tinfoil hat theory. Because I know y'all kind of shield for that game more than I did. I thought it was
I didn't play RE7.
Really? Oh, wow.
Really?
I mean,
I thought it was a good game.
I
haven't played it, so go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
My conspiracy theory, I think RE7 was made to be a VR game, but to kick that shit up a little bit, they just added a 7 to it, so people feel like they be missing out on something. But that's just, nothing's really confirming that, but it's just,
well, Rob, I mean, to add on to your theory, when they first revealed it, they revealed it as the kitchen VR demo. So unless they had some genius marketing it, I think you might have been on to
maybe
something.
it's Kojima and his Giga Brain, because we can't.
I don't think that it was meant to be exclusively a VR title. I do agree that it was made with VR in mind, but honestly, I think that based on a lot of what's in there, they heard that people wanted it to be scary again. And if you look at the writing and who they hired to write the game then, and how he based it on a lot of American horror movies, which have some pretty clear influences, that's not a bad thing per se. It's just, it's one of those things where I think they were trying really hard to please a lot of people. I think one of the reasons they went with them primarily first-person perspective and then stuck with only the first-person perspective, even though it was revealed that they actually did have a third-person. Like, they had everything modeled for, like, the main character and everything. They just chose to keep it first-person. There's a lot of rumors, too, that it was done to be more like a first-person shooter because those were popular. And so there's a lot of different stuff that went on behind the scenes with Resident Evil 7. One of these days, we're finally going to get the truth because nobody at Capcom can ever actually keep quiet. But, I mean, I don't think it was a bad game. I think that they were trying to return to form, and it showed. And I think in a lot of ways they did. I do, though, think that they really need to step it up in 8 because it's like, okay, I'll accept this as like a new direction and kind of a quasi reboot or like the start of a new story or something in this universe. But the next game that comes out, you need to evolve what you were doing. You need some more variety. You need some more setting variety. You definitely need a little bit more monster variety.
Yeah, I mean,
I will give them credit. They have a little more variety than most people will give them credit for. But the problem is because they all looked so much the same, even when they were different types of those molded or whatever they call them, it didn't look clearly like it. So it's like you never knew sometimes what kind you were fighting, and that they need to fix that.
Yeah, I remember they was talking about like a lot of scrapped ideas. Some of them seemed cool. The one I think that probably stuck out to me the most was they had the idea for there to be a family dog, and the dog would sometimes track you down. Sometimes.
Oh, that would have been actually sick.
Yeah,
kind of freaky too.
I'll say this much.
So even though you try to hide, the dog like picks up your scent and probably still catches you or some shit like that. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, as a person who hasn't played much of the game, I played like the first 30 minutes in VR when I was over at my boy Jamal's place. To me, just looking at the development of Resident Evil 7, just the way it was announced and marketed, I do think I feel like on some level, it's kind of like a hodgepodge, like a little bit of what you were saying, Rob, how they were trying to make it into a VR thing, and a little bit of what Danny was saying, how they were trying to capitalize on some of the trends. Because I still feel as if, Resident Evil 6 was literally that game where they're like, okay, we're going to go for the Call of Duty crowd. And I still felt like they kind of had that mindset when they started up 7. They're like, okay, 6 didn't work out well. What can we do to make 7 more like the trends? And I think they started out that way, and then like I guess halfway through they realized let's just try to make it scary. So I think that's why it kind of came off as such, because I know a lot of people liked 7, but it's not like
keep in mind too, 7 was another game where they actually started and then scrapped, and then started and then scrapped, and then started. So there were a few different things they might have been trying at first that wound up being what we got.
But Danny, how do you know this? Capcom isn't open with their development like Nintendo is.
Oh yeah. Well, see, I personally spoke to a guy who stood in front of a white background and cried for me. So
oh my god,
he cried on FaceTime, bro.
Yeah.
Did he actually cry?
No, I just made that a joke. Because me and Rob were talking, and he was like, the only reason they like it because the nigga came on here and cried in front of a camera, and Rob just thought that shit was...
You're terrible, bro.
How he said it had my ass rolling. He just wanted to crying on camera and shit.
Man, I'm just sitting here though thinking about all this stuff about how no company is ever this open about game development and everything. And meanwhile, I'm just sitting there scrolling through, PlayStation's YouTube channel, and oh look, a developer diary. Oh look, another developer diary. Oh look, the 5th developer diary in a month.
You know what I think it is? Danny? The reason why people are kind of giving them this pass is because it had been 2 years and we hadn't seen anything, and they're like rebooting it. When Naughty Dog came out here, we had already seen the game, and they were just delaying it a few extra months. So for people to get pissed off about that really made no sense. I guess this is why, because I think that Metroid Prime, had they shown it, then scrapped and restarted it, that's when people would be pissed off. But since they hadn't seen anything, it was kind of like, oh, well, no skin off my bones.
Yeah. I mean, it happens with some games, It was like this is something for the Metal Gear fans. How many people actually remember that Metal Gear Solid 4 got changed 3 times?
All I'm going to say is that after this, don't be surprised if Phil Spencer gets in front of a white background and says that Scalebound was never really canceled. They were just rebooting it, and now it's being developed by Playground or whatever.
It's called Bounded by the Scales. Here we go.
Yeah, but real quick, people remember Metal Gear Solid 4 got changed. It's a complete concept got changed 3 times. I remember each time.
Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
It had like 3 different announcements, man. But how do you have 3 announcements, bro? The very first time Kojima opened up about Metal Gear Solid 4, it was a completely different story from what it ended up being. Snake was still semi-young. The whole big thing was like Big Boss was returning. You might see the rematch between Snake and Big Boss, and all this other crazy stuff was happening. Then the game was quiet. It was not a word about it for years. And then you saw the very first trailer, and that's when you saw old Snake, and they faked you out, making you think it was going to be in first person. And then you saw it was actually a soldier walking through in first person, then Snake body slammed his ass. And that was like a little brief trailer. So that was the second time the game got announced. And then he went quiet on the game for years again. And that game came out in 2008. Like, how many years are we talking? Because Metal Gear Solid 3 came out in like what, 2000 and was that 2000 and wasn't 2005, was it? Or 2004? No. It was either 05 or 04, right? It can't be 06.
Speaking of Kojima, y'all fucking with that Death Stranding?
The way we've heard so little about Death Stranding,
when did Metal Gear Solid 3 release?
I would not be at all surprised if Death Stranding.
Snake Eater's initial release date is November 17th, 2004.
Okay, so 2004.
That kind of makes it even sadder then, because I remember having a magazine that was giving quote unquote information about Metal Gear Solid 4, and it was what I originally said it was, the whole Snake versus Big Boss type storyline. And then it got changed around the time, the early time of the PS3 coming out. And then for I think a straight year before it came out, Kojima was quiet again. And then that's when you got like the final trailer towards what the game was going to be with the Octo camo and all that type of stuff. So that game essentially changed whatever it was 3 different times. And so I was like, so this shit kind of I hope what happens with Metroid doesn't happen to that extent, where it's like, damn, we almost had it this time, but give us one more time. Let's start over one more time. But I hope it doesn't get like that.
I mean, the worst Metroid games were Other M and Federation Force. Even though I really don't think that game exists, I might have been having a bad memory about that one. But I don't. Okay, so like I said, I'm a fan of Metroid, but it's really my thing with Prime 4 is the same how I feel about with Death Stranding. Like, yes, there is like a name behind it, but until you show me something, I'm sorry, I'm not really.
Can I be upfront about something?
Hmm?
The one thing that keeps me from getting like fully into the Metroid Prime series is honestly the platforming.
It
like,
was fixed for Wii.
Yeah, I don't know. It's first person platforming for me. Is always something that kind of.
Yeah, and Jamil is right. They did fix a lot of the things on the Wii version, and they'll probably improve upon it more in the Switch. But yeah, because Metroid, it's a first-person shooter, but it's more of like an exploration
It's really
shooter.
just more of Super Metroid in
like,
first person.
To me, first person like platforming is like really hard to nail. The only game that I think that I've ever played it that actually had it that made it kind of enjoyable was Titanfall 2 in the campaign mode. But even then, there were times it just got like. Ugh.
Because like because like when Metroid, it's like Metroid is more based off of like Chris said, like exploration, but like it's first person to like basically enhance that way of doing it. Because when I played through Prime, it had all the things I like about Super Metroid just in first person. So
yeah, it's very much so atmospheric.
Yeah. Also, Portal had pretty good platforming.
Like
Portal was pretty good.
If they fix the platforming up more, I might.
Okay, we'll save this for the Q&A section because J-Rock bringing up Portal just makes me think about Valve, and it just makes me angry. But moving on to.
Hey, did y'all hear Death Stranding came out last week?
Oh yeah, to everybody but the people that want to buy it.
Yeah, no, I mean honestly, as little as we heard about that game, I would not be surprised to find that out.
You just go to the store and see it on shelves,
bro. I could see Kojima doing like a stealth drop, like every
honestly, I could see Kojima. No, honestly, at this point, I could see Kojima getting so wrapped up in what he's doing behind the scenes and everything that game drops and he just completely forgot to announce it. So
yeah. The game just drops. He forgets to announce it because he's already working on part 2 and shit.
Yo, bro, when the time that game comes out, had it not been Kojima, I don't think that game would have gotten as many passes.
I'm sorry, that's another thing. The only reason people are hyping Death Stranding is because it's Kojima. That's it.
That's literally it, bro. There's no reason.
And my thing with Death Stranding is okay. So like, I like a lot of weird shit. Like, I mean, a lot of not like in the really bad weird shit, but like HP,
not the degenerative shit.
Not the degenerate shit. But like, I really like HP Lovecraft, and like a lot of his stories are like based off a lot of absurd, outwardly like weird, just cosmic horror shit. But the thing about it is, I feel that people are hyping Death Stranding off the fact that it is mysterious and different, more so than the actual like what even is it? And they say because we don't know, that makes it good. And I'm like, no,
really? Hell.
Yeah, I mean the glass. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Oh boy. Now we're getting into some territory that's seriously gonna split the fandom.
And
leave the bad
better
jokes.
get rid of these guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
like, I do want to know what Death Stranding is, but like, I'm just not hyped for it.
I mean, that's kind of where I am too. Like, I like some of the ideas of what it could be, but like, you're not going to get me to drop $60 on what it could be. I need to know what I am spending that kind of money.
I haven't watched it. Go ahead, Rob.
I was gonna say every time they ask somebody, one of the actors or anybody that works with Kojima on this game, what it is, they all say it's a direct damn quote. I'll even use Norman Reedus, a supposed star of this shit, who can't even explain to you what it is. He said it's not the game you're typically used to playing where you can just pick a gun up and kill everybody in the road. It's not that type of game. He's like, it's more so a game that I think the closest we ever got him saying like it was more so a game where what the fuck was it he said? I can't even fucking repeat what he said. He said everybody just keeps saying something like it's not the typical game where you expect for there to be like a lot of crazy action. And they keep saying this weird thing about the word I keep seeing tied with Death Stranding are words like social bridges and shit like that. I was like, what is this, bro?
Is this gonna be one of those weird games where like you have to do some sort of asynchronous multiplayer stuff to progress or something?
I hope it's not an 80. I hope it's not an $80 million walking simulator. I really hope not.
Yeah, that too. But honestly, I think my favorite evasive answers though come from Mads Mikkelsen, where he's just like,
I love Mads.
Where like they ask, they're like, can you say anything about the game? He says, I could say a lot about the game, but then I'd have about 6 really strong Japanese men showing up at my front door. So no.
All from the Yakuza. We've employed the Yakuza to keep this game under wraps.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, they send Kiryu right over there to bust his ass.
Yeah, that's Kiryu in real life. That's it for me, dog.
That's it. You ain't surviving, bro. Anyone who's played Yakuza 0, that was that dude when he was like what, 24? Oh,
that's if you're lucky. That's if you're lucky. If you really screw up, they send Majima after you. There you go.
That, and if Majima can't get to you, they send the ghost of a certain individual. I'm gonna leave it at that.
No, but like Chris, I think you talked about it before, how like hype culture builds. And one of my main things with Death Stranding is I'm worried is that Kojima might have hyped this game to a level to where he can't deliver upon it.
This literally, like, I feel like this is everything Kojima ever wanted to do in his life, and he has nobody to rein him in. That's the problem,
dude. Exactly.
That was a lot of the smoke that supposedly happened with Phantom Pain. He was like, this shit costs too much, bruh.
Yeah, honestly, like on some level, like, okay, we can all be critical. Konami had reasons to want to part with Kojima. Of course, the way they went about it was wrong.
It's one of those things where, like, like there were some legitimate reasons. I'll grant you that, but
yeah. I'm not defending them at all because fuck Konami. But certain things in terms of like Kojima's track record with his games, let's be real, he always takes it a bit farther than they're supposed to in terms of development, going over budget, and all these things where it should be reined in. I mean, that's just like you can't sit here and say that isn't a flaw,
That's actually one reason why Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 were really like as good as they were, because he had someone to not only rein him in but bounce ideas off of him to be like, hey, this isn't like, I don't think that's good. His name was Tomokazu Fukushima. He was the co-writer for Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3. And if you look at the quality of writing of those games compared to the games he wasn't on, which was Metal Gear Solid 4 and 5, I believe, like you can tell like the difference between it. And like I don't think just giving someone unlimited power to do whatever they want, it necessarily leads to a good product.
Yeah. I look at it like this. I think that after Metal Gear Solid 3 had come out, Kojima had gotten all his clout. He was winning all those awards, and Konami was like, okay, here are the keys, do whatever you want. And that's where we started to get into some pretty dicey territory. I don't want to say he's on the level of George Lucas, but when George Lucas was working on the original trilogy, he had people rein him in with his ideas, and they helped him execute them with episodes 5 and episode 6, but then when he was doing the prequels, he was doing everything by himself, and you saw what happened there. So I'm not saying Death Stranding is going to be like the prequels, but I think
that actually works as a parallel on multiple levels, especially considering what Lucas did with Anakin and then what Kojima did with Big Boss.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Revisionist history. So.
Look at that, man. Look at that. Oh, God, I forgot they did bring Kiefer Sutherland. Who the fuck wanted that?
I mean, I love Kiefer.
I do. He's amazing. But why would you bring him in?
I saw an interview with David Hayter, and he said they wanted to get Kurt Russell all the way back in Metal Gear Solid 3. They tried to get rid of him. They tried to get rid of David Hayter back then, and they tried to get Kurt Russell. And he said no. And so that's the only reason it didn't happen is that he turned it down. So
do they not like his voice? They don't like his voice or something?
Can we really trust him though? I mean, he is a hater.
Oh, look at you.
Oh, here, yo, Danny, did you man, this dude Danny was thinking about that shit all generation.
Now, Kojima, I guess, wanted somebody different to voice Big Boss to separate him and Snake. That's what I'm assuming what it was.
Well, why would you do that for your last game? What the hell?
So I don't know.
Is it because they got the money?
Probably. I have no clue what made them finally go ahead and go through with it. That was the one time they managed to get through, because David Hayter said he had to re-audition for Big Boss in Metal Gear Solid 3, and he had to re-audition for even old Snake in Metal Gear Solid 4. They tried to get rid of him that many times.
Oh yeah, they were trying to get rid of David Hayter for a minute.
That I just didn't he help like bring this game to the West with like the translations and everything? Like
he is the sole reason. I'm sorry, Kojima, they kind of underestimated how much he helped Metal Gear Solid out here. I mean, if anything, just for his voice alone being as iconic as it was, that kind of submitted his spot out here. And they severely underestimated that and thought they could just swap him out. And even though some people just like ducked their head when, because by the time Phantom Pain came out, like I get it, some people have their burned-in loyalty where even though it is bugging them, they're gonna make themselves like it and stuff. But it's like it just wasn't the same, man. And then to even try to have him saying a lot of the famous lines that kept you waiting, huh, and all that stuff.
Oh
like,
God,
it wasn't gonna work out like that. But this had been a reoccurring thing. So then they finally were able to drop him. They just didn't tell him that they were making Phantom Pain, and yeah, so.
That's hella disrespectful. It's like he wakes up. Very disrespectful. It's like he wakes he wakes up one morning. He sees the trailer for Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain. He calls up Konami. Guys, what happened?
He said the only reason he even spoke with somebody from Konami is when they happened to be in the same building because he was recording something else and he saw somebody he recognized that literally stopped him. This actually.
Bro, had they not announced Kiefer Sutherland, like imagine he just like David Hayter watched the trailer and he's like, "Wait, I'm not even in this one." Oh no, you can't do that. No,
that's what. Damn, that kind of makes me feel bad for the other guy, Patrick Seitz that voiced the Scorpion. When he was watching the Game Awards, live tweeting and all that shit, and he saw that trailer, like, "Oh, that's a way to find out I'm not voicing Scorpion in this game."
I love Patrick Seitz though. He's awesome.
Oh yeah. While we're on the topic though, Metal Gear Solid, y'all gonna check out not Metal Gear Solid?
What's that thing?
Alive?
Yeah.
Oh God. No.
Oh, I am. I actually am, just because I want to see exactly how much like MGS that is, because a lot of it, like right down to like some of the music and everything even sounds like the kind of music they use in those games. And
I haven't even seen any gameplay for that.
Oh, I've seen there's been gameplay and there's been a story trailer. And the story trailer though, like I showed it to Rob and I said, "Tell me this does not feel like Metal Gear Solid." And he even had to say that, yeah, it feels a lot.
Oh like God, Square Enix.
Even a lot of the lighting and stuff, like it kind of has that.
But
shit!
But the gameplay though isn't like Metal Gear Solid gameplay. It's a little bit different. So, and I think that it does actually, unlike a lot of the MGS stuff, doesn't punish you as much for not being stealthy. So,
you got mechs in this too?
Yeah, it's from part of the that franchise. What is it?
Damn, this video got a low frame rate. What the hell?
God dang, I forget what franchise it's a part of. But
wow, that comes out. Oh shit, it comes out in March. Oh, it comes out 2 days before Devil May Cry. Okay, that's dead on arrival.
Well, there goes that plan.
That ain't getting played.
Front Mission. Yep. There we go.
Oh, Front Mission. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
It's part of that series.
Yeah, this looks more action though.
Yeah, but I like it. I like the concept of it. I'm probably gonna rent it at least.
Oh, we're talking about Left Alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, speaking of, we've been derailed for quite a while. We should probably start up that Q&A.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, we've tackled the major topics for today's discussion. We are going to delve into, for the last hour, our Q&A section. That's probably how we're going to do the podcast going forward. We'll focus on 3 or 4 major topics for like the first I'd say 65-70% of the podcast, and then for the last hour or so, 45 minutes, we'll just leave it up to checking out some of the comments. So I'm just going to scroll up from the very beginning because I know we had a couple of comments there, and then we can go into just, you know, general freestyle here and there. If you guys have a comment you want to address, you can do that, and we can go back and forth. I'm going to try to stray away from talking about certain allegations surrounding people, and I don't really want to get too political on some of those things. So we're just, you know, for the sake of the podcast and stuff.
It's a Saturday, guys. Let's just keep it mellow.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is all the Sly Cooper stuff.
All right, drop questions.
Yeah, go ahead, y'all drop that question.
Why is Kingdom Hearts 3 the best game of the generation? I'm just kidding.
Oh, hell no. Huh? Hell no.
Nobody got time.
Kingdom Hearts is never the best game of any generation.
That game took a generation to come out, bro.
Hey, chill out.
It literally took a generation.
I ran out. No, seriously. I ran out there and bought a PS3 at launch just because I wanted to have it ready for when Kingdom Hearts 3 finally came out.
I'm glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that because I know, okay, how many years ago did they say Kingdom Hearts 3 was in development?
2013 they announced it.
Okay. All right, so it's fair enough to say like it's been in development for almost 6 years, right?
6 years, yeah.
Okay. But let's be real though. You've been kind of waiting on this since you beat Kingdom Hearts 2 in a way. So if you want to be technical, most people waited about 14 years for this shit.
Yeah, I no, I'm done waiting. So everything, every other game goes on hold as soon as that comes out, just to get it over with. Honestly,
like I gotta close that book in my life, man.
Yeah,
that 13-year chapter. That 13-year chapter.
Okay, we're starting to get some. Dragon Ball Super Broly. Did you watch? I did.
I have not.
I actually did. I did something that people thought could never happen, and I actually did 2 videos on that.
Oh shit! I only saw the one.
Yeah, 2. I did like a shorter initial thoughts thing, and then I did that full hour-long spiel about it. So
okay.
I'm at gotcha.
Yeah, I tried to go see the movie a few days ago. I didn't get a chance to, life stuff. So I'll probably see it. If not tomorrow, I'll definitely check it out Tuesday. But yeah, I definitely want to see it. I've heard a lot of good things about that. Let's see. Trails of Cold Steel 3 thoughts if you've played any of the other games. No, I haven't. I'm honestly just waiting for those to come out on Switch whenever they do. I know it's kind of a big deal that it's come to the PS4 since they've been like mainly PS3, PSP games?
PS3 and Vita, I believe.
Okay.
Which is actually where I played the first one. I liked the first one a lot. So I mean, I'm buying the remasters that are coming out on PS4 too. I've got them both pre-ordered. So I'm looking forward to it, definitely. And finding out that the script for that is apparently longer than the Lord of the Rings or something like that, they said.
Whoa. Are they talking just dialogue or like story script?
I think they're talking like dialogue in general, but still that means there's going to be a lot in there. So.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll probably check it out at some point. Like I said, I'm just waiting to get it on the Switch because y'all know me. I play everything on that thing.
Yeah, I do know you.
Yeah, that Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition sold the best on Switch. Bang bang, baby, let's go.
In the UK.
In the world.
In the UK.
Zawardo.
Hey, so just respond to a comment. Yes, I've seen Spider-Man new animated series. That's actually very underrated.
Oh God, yeah.
That's
hell
yeah!
It was like it actually made Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man watchable.
Oh, we're talking about the MTV Spider-Man?
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah,
It was.
it was weird though, because it's like I loved their depiction of Spider-Man there, and I loved how Neil Patrick Harris played him there. But it was just so weird because he was like so disconnected from Maguire's Spider-Man. Like he was cracking the jokes again. He was, he was even being kind of, a bit of a smart ass as Peter Parker at times. Like, it was a lot more like comic Spider-Man than movie Spider-Man, and the disconnect, I don't even like to think of it as being set in the Raimiverse because of that. But it's good. And interesting to note, Kingpin, I believe, was actually black in that series before he was in the Daredevil movie.
Hey,
which I think might be where they got the idea.
I wonder if he was voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson. Let's see.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Someone said something about Rocksteady making a new IP.
That's
Man Bat.
Man,
if
Rocksteady's next game is anything Batman related, the only thing Batman related I will tolerate is Beyond. Anything besides that, I
hope it's not another superhero game. I don't know if I can do another fucking.
Oh my god, Chris. Kingpin in that series was voiced by Michael Clark Duncan.
Oh, okay. So this had to be around the time of Daredevil.
I think it was.
No, that's right. It came out around the same time, and that was their slick way of trying to basically link it in sort of a.
Yeah.
They were kind of trying to create an MCU, as it were, before there was an MCU, and it fell apart because of the different studios.
Oh.
Yeah. J-Rock Gaming, I will see you in April, bro. Definitely.
Let's see.
You ain't fucking with a Superman game? Really?
Wait. April, is that when Mortal Kombat drops?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I might have to wait on that. I don't know.
Okay.
Y'all not going to hear
Slayer,
man.
No, there's something that I'm trying to buy that month that's a bit of a pretty penny.
Ooh. All right.
These hands be waiting for you when you come.
Weeb Slayer 2049. How long will it take for people to drop Jump Force? Like counting down the hours and minutes. I hope on the first day. Jeez.
Jump Force is not a game that one picks up. It's one that someone kind of accidentally finds themselves touching. So
Jump Force about to be in the bargain bin, and y'all just don't want to accept it.
Like the sad thing is, it is a cool concept. It's a really cool concept. I actually like some of the designs of the original characters for it. It's just that they got so blatantly lazy with it. Like the character models are so off model half the time, off design. Like Goku legit looks like a friggin' claymation figure. The textures of his hair go different directions. It's like somebody took an action figure, turned it into a Play-Doh mold, and squeezed the hair right up through it, and then combed it different directions. It's weird,
bro.
Bro, and that's not even getting onto the gameplay. Like there's just so many questionable things about that game.
When you think about it, though, most games, especially fighting games, when they introduce you a creator character type thing, my brain just kind of tells me that y'all use this shit too. That's how probably you put so many people in here, bro. But I mean, look, Jump Force could have its charms to it. Its charm could come from if it has a very fun roster, and I just love they try to put everybody and their mother into it.
Literally.
Missing out key people, if you follow me on Twitter, you kind of know why Saudi put Boruto, aka Burrito. But there's some people actually wants Koro Sensei in there, even though he was in what was the last? I keep missing. Yeah, he was in that shit.
Listen, man, they got that kid, freaking Midoriya from My Hero, who has no drip, no style in that game.
They did. They put him in there over All Might himself. I'm like, wow.
Well, I mean, they got friggin' Bleach characters in there. So.
Right.
I was like, what? And I was like, what the fuck am I looking at? Like, because someone asked us thoughts on My Hero. I can give you my thoughts, but it's spoilers. I'm gonna just say right now, I'm not fucking with the new chapters.
I heard everybody's kind of skeptical after the new chapter. I heard they Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's all.
He became a mix of Avatar and Mega Man. I swear to God.
Honestly, the only, and I do mean the only reason I would play Jump Force is because I could actually beat the living crap out of Naruto and Sasuke in it. That's about it.
No, I'll say this much about Jump Force. I played the game at E3 before most of y'all motherfuckers even cared, right? I played at E3. I said this game is trash. Everyone said, but it's an alpha. I said the game comes out in 8 months. The game comes out 8 months.
You gotta keep that voice.
Oh wait, someone asked us did we play Rob's fucking laugh. Did someone ask
you have to pay for Rob's ambulance in about 20 seconds?
If any of us played that,
bro. So
man, look,
you good?
Yeah, I'm straight. Go ahead.
So I played the game. I told y'all it's coming out in 8 months. They ain't gonna do it. It ain't gonna be what y'all expected, but people just told me I didn't know what I was talking about. That beta drops. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, look, it just kind of go off what I said before. You can kind of, a lot of people will let some shit go if it just comes off being fun in some type of way, and it's like, that's not to say it's the greatest thing ever and all. I mean, I was one of those people where even though I had no Nintendo console around that time, PlayStation All-Stars came out, but with a lot of alcohol and 3 good friends, and we had fun in this shit, bro. So, it could just, the part of me, there is a small little part of me that likes the idea of having Goku, Kenshiro, and Yusuke together. So those are like 3 of my favorite anime characters. But that's kind of why they're trying to put everybody in there, except, they're kind of missing out on a lot of people. So it's one of those things I wouldn't put too much merit in. I wouldn't even talk that much about it. It'll just be a game where it's like, I got it. Y'all know, unfortunately, I'm going to have it, and I'm going to have to play it, but that's a whole nother thing right there. But, yeah, it's a game I probably wouldn't even talk about that much.
My thing is, Jump Force would have been a great game if it was exactly like Fighters, 3v3, just with all these anime, like showing an anime character. Dude, that game will be lit. I've been waiting on that forever, man. But I'm just tired of arena fighters. Like I can't play those anymore.
All right, real quick, I want to address something that's in the chat here. Esvellant 100 says, I can't believe they still have Rurouni Kenshin characters after the allegations.
What?
Well, okay. First and foremost, the characters are not the ones who owned that video. I mean, let's just get that straight.
Yeah,
it's about artists and work. You got to be able to separate them. If we weren't able to do that, like anything by H.P. Lovecraft would be out the window, because if you knew half of that man's personal life.
Oof.
Oh yeah, his cat was called Nick. Okay, let me chill out.
Yeah.
Honestly, putting the allegations in context, I mean, they're still terrible, and what he did is still inexcusable. And the fact that he did this at all is, creepy. But after more details came out, how do I say this? It's not as creepy as it seemed at first, but still a creepy thing. The guy, first of all, he didn't actually go out and actively seek out this video recently. What happened was Japan recently passed a law. Well, not recently, but it was years ago. They passed a law saying that pornography could not feature anyone under the age of 18 anymore, even if they had explicit parental consent or whatever. So everyone in the country had to kind of turn that stuff in. Allegedly, he was not even watching it. That's what he claims. Now, I kind of doubt that, but he said that he was too embarrassed to go and turn that in because he'd be thought of as a weirdo for that.
Wait, how do you turn stuff in? Why don't you just destroy it?
That's what they do. They turn it into the police so that it's cataloged and destroyed.
No, I think he means why don't they just destroy it themselves?
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I doubt that he wasn't, watching it.
Like they got a law against that too. Shit, Joe.
So, in the case in question, apparently the girl in the video was like 16, which again still creepy, but it's not like the kiddie porn like people made it out to be. But yeah, it's still a creeper thing. But again, it's about separating art from an artist.
Mm-hmm. And like Danny said, though, if we were to apply that logic to some of the directors of the most popular movies of all time, they've all got some skeletons in their closet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Asuma Tezuka, did you guys know that he's actually a furry?
Yeah,
I'm not kidding. He actually drew like animated, like cartoonified anthropomorphic animals naked.
Of course.
Yeah, he had a mouse with boobies.
All right, yeah, we getting past that shit.
But my point is, that's basically the logic behind that.
Yeah. So let's see.
I want to ask us our thoughts on DMC5.
Look, I gotta say one thing. Y'all do not understand. You do not understand what's about to go down when Devil May Cry 5 comes out. I'm probably just gonna vanish from the face of the earth for a good while.
That'll probably be me in a couple of days.
To be fair, it's a monthly podcast, so we got about like 3 weeks.
Oh man. We got James Gunn slander in the chat.
Okay, we'll touch on that in a little second, but to answer the whole thing about Devil May Cry 5, let me just give you guys an example of how excited I am for the game. On a daily basis, me and this dude Rob find ways to insert quotes from the trailer into conversation. Like it's
all the time.
It's not even funny. Like today, bro, I said, bro, I'm about to go work out. I posted the gif of Nero revving up at this. It's just, man.
All right. My personal stance on Devil May Cry 5 is it looks really fun, but I do not like that it has microtransactions. And yes, I know they're small, yada yada,
Same.
optional. I don't like the practice at all, and I don't think it's necessary, but whatever.
Agreed. I mean, I'm kind of the philosophy like
if it has to be in there, I guess.
Right. For me, I operate on they were in 4. I didn't buy them in 4 special edition. Nobody should. If they're self-respecting Devil May Cry fan, it doesn't affect the balance of the game, and that's all I ask for. If people want to spend money, the game journalists need to spend money to get good at the game. Go ahead.
I'm gonna shame your ass if you get it. If you buy it and I find out, I'm gonna roast the shit out of you.
Factual.
To be clear, J-Rock, I did not like them in The Last of Us or Uncharted either, and I made that very clear. I even tweeted Naughty Dog about it. So.
Talk that. Go ahead with the James Gunn shit.
All right, the whole thing with James Gunn, people pointing him out about separating artists from his art.
We'll drink.
James Gunn is a bit different in that case because first and foremost, a lot of what he's doing, while really inappropriate, was clearly meant to be like controversial humor. Did not land, still really gross. But the difference, I think, with that and what's going on here is James Gunn wholly admits that he used to be a creep. Like, he came right out and said in an interview, I used to be a complete edgelord. I used to be a scumbag. I used to be disgusting. I would do this stuff for shock value and attention just because I thought that's how the world worked. If you weren't being edgy, you were playing it safe. And he said, and then he said, my time working with Disney and with the guys at Marvel, and then, working with the crew on Guardians of the Galaxy and the cast, he found out that, hey, I don't have to keep doing this. I don't have to keep making these jokes to get attention. I don't, friends who expect me to joke like that with them aren't really the best kind of friends in the world anyway. He was openly apologetic about it, and he openly admitted that he did it. And he openly said, I was disgusting back then. And he was a visibly, in every way, changed man from that. So I think that's a little bit different, I'm not going to defend the jokes. I really won't, because they were gross. They were disgusting. But James Gunn was like a clear case, and sadly, a really clear case of how even if you do change, as a person, grow as a person, everything. The outrage mob, they don't care. They'll still try to destroy you.
Yep. Unfortunately. And the funny thing is a lot of people, I mean, obviously this should be common knowledge to everybody. The whole reason why James Gunn was taken down, it was due in part the whole cancel culture and also due in parts the far right mob because he made comments about Trump and all that shit. But it's sad. It seriously is sad that you can't actually change. Like, and I find it funny that all these same people here who are saying like, oh, James Gunn, like, don't you dare sit here on your damn moral high ground and say that you haven't said anything on the level of what James Gunn has written. We've seen the posts. Like some of y'all people who saying this shit, I know what you guys have posted. I've seen you on Twitter. I've seen you in YouTube comments. Don't sit here and act like you guys are much better.
The guy who went and dug it up, people found tweets from him basically saying that date rape isn't real. It doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. You know, he's made a lot of race-based comments in the past before. Some openly sexist stuff in the past before. I mean, honestly, it doesn't get a whole lot worse than saying date rape is a myth.
Yeah. I mean,
and if they enjoy it, then it's not rape. Like,
exactly. So it's just go ahead, Rob.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, it's one of those things where I saw like a video compilation, I guess, to somebody, because people started like finding old videos of Gunn and stuff like that. When I watched the video compilation, and it was one particular thing he said that even though I knew all this stuff and I know people change and all that, I saw one particular video. He just said something. I was like, I'm gonna punch him in the fucking face. But I was like, he changed though. So it's like when somebody puts it in front of you, you just gotta know, like, okay, you gotta just give people a chance to show that they've changed in a way.
Yeah, but that's also why you can't really blame Disney for parting ways with him, because even if he did change, he did say that back then, and they are a company that makes stuff for kids and has kids on the set and that looks bad.
And it's like, and first of all, it just wasn't. First of all, a lot of shit just wasn't fun. Even if I did have a brain in that type of world, I don't see the humor in it at all. And I do know a lot of people actually saw it was like, I thought Disney kind of knew what kind of shit he was on, because why would they work with him in the first place?
And that's the thing, Rob, because James Gunn made this initial apology back before he directed the first Guardians. I think when he did interviews in like 2013 or whatever, he landed the job. People were kind of critical, like actual journalists at the time were like, hey, Disney, you're a family-friendly company. You're employing this dude who's kind of had a risque history, and those were the conversations that needed to be had. So when this suddenly comes out of the blue, after 2 Guardians movies have come out and people know James Gunn, like actually know him. And the thing is, if you actually like follow James Gunn on social media, he's gotten pretty personal. He's talked about how even when he was working on the first and second Guardians, he's been suicidal, like even if he has all this success and he has all this stuff, like he's still battling some demons. And, he talked about how he would call Vin Diesel and have good conversations with him and stuff like that. Like James Gunn, like said some really personal stuff, and just to see the way people treated him was honestly, it was disgusting. It was despicable. And the fact that it was all over his personal politics, like that's seriously what pisses me off. Like whatever side of the aisle you are on, like decency is gone.
Like I don't agree with a lot of his politics, honestly. I do agree with some of them, but like clearly not all of them. That's normal. But like to his credit too, he mostly like kept it out of his work.
Mm-hmm. Oh, of course.
So and that's something that I really respect when someone who knows that basically my job is to entertain people, understands that and doesn't try to use everything as a platform. I respect that. And to see that people, like, I could understand people like being upset if he was trying to constantly shove it in everyone's face and everything he did.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he wasn't, and that still wasn't enough for them, and they still found a need to try to destroy him personally and end his career. I mean, even that is like stupid and petty, but like, You can't even say that it's a case of like extremist versus extremist. It's just someone who didn't like the fact that someone didn't agree with them, and so decided, I'm going to ruin your life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a bloodhound mentality. It's crazy how the instant someone puts a target on someone they have beef with, they can just find some shit from like almost 10 years ago on them, just like at the snap of the fingers, just like how nobody knew about that lead singer of the Dante theme.
Oh.
Nobody knew about it until that song came out and they didn't like it. And then they found it. I was just like, damn, y'all found the dirt you needed, huh?
Bro.
Like,
I mean,
it just makes, as somebody even said, it was like, if y'all would have liked the song, this shit would have probably never came to the light.
Well, honestly, though, in a twisted way, while I hate the reasons that they did it, I'm kind of glad that they did.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Well,
you're like, whoa, that's crazy. And then we just like eating under the table, like no one sees this.
And then motherfucker would keep blaring this shit as they played the game and shit like that. But like, it was like, I just found it crazy that they almost kind of weaponized. I was like, how the fuck did y'all find that? It found in like 24 hours. Bro. It was like they heard the song. I don't like this. We need to get his ass booted. And they found something, bro. Like, what the fuck?
Bro.
Someone asked us, what do we think about that Harry Potter game?
I'm done with Harry Potter. Like I am.
Oh yeah, because of hack rolling. Oh, let me. This is my. Let me get this.
Did you guys know?
Jamil, let me finish setting you up at least. God.
He said hack rolling.
Harry Potter is serious. Honestly, I've never been too into. My girlfriend's tried to get me into it for a while though, and I've had some interesting conversations with her about it. And I did like get I got the books, the ebook format, and I got the audiobooks too. And I was going to consider either sitting down and reading or at least listening to them, because she very much encouraged me to go with the books over the movies. But honestly, after everything that Rowling's been doing lately, and just the way she's like kind of retconning things on the fly, and like having weird criticisms about her own work, like, oh, I should have never had these two characters wind up, married or whatever. It was so cliche. This one would have been better. And it's like the one she says would have been better was the actual cliche. And then the whole wizards just crap themselves and magic the poop away. Like,
that wasn't fake.
Listen,
no, that one was not,
that was legit.
That one was definitely legit. I'm still
shut up. Nah.
On the
you're lying to me.
It was on the Pottermore thing too.
Dude, I'm gonna get you the tweet. I'm gonna get you the tweet.
But
right
the one that spooks me still, that I still can't get anyone to confirm or deny was fake, is that one where she supposedly confirmed that sex ed at Hogwarts basically was something that the kids had to figure out.
No, that's real.
That was real.
If I recall correctly, that is real.
The group masturbation session.
Yes,
real. Oh my God! Yep. See, I'm done. That's it. Killed me right there.
Yeah.
Y'all sitting on the throne of lies today, man. Y'all
like I said. Here's my thing. I really like Harry Potter, but the only reason this is how I rationalize it. Right? We are dealing with New 52 J.K. Rowling. This isn't the real J.K. Rowling. So,
God,
I can ignore everything she said prior to the release of what was it, Deathly Hallows Part 2. So in my mind, I didn't see it, so it's not canon. Therefore, I can get the Harry Potter game. That's the only way I can rationalize that. And the Harry Potter game was supposedly set in like the year 1800, like in the 1800s, or like.
Hey,
like
that was back in the days when they used to just take the dump in the pants and magic it away.
But like, my thing is like I just ignore all of that because that's just.
What if it's a game mechanic?
If it's a game mechanic, I gotta get the PC version to mod that out.
Like in Ark, where you have to take a dump every so often.
Press F to clean yourself.
Nah,
bro. God, that game.
But
oh God.
J.K. Rowling, it's weird because she created a really interesting universe But she's a hack. Oh my god.
Oh god. Did you see what she said basically about the United States and the wizarding school here? Like we have one school here. That's it. Like one school. Like the way the size of this country and everything, and just the way it's made up, you would at least need like a regional or like a collegiate sort of system of magic schools, just due to the sheer size and population. But no, it's all one school that's apparently located in one city, and we're expected to ship everyone in the United States who has any kind of magic talent all to this one spot. And it's like, no. No, we have over 300 million people here. No,
280, 70, was it 80 million people? Yeah. Oh,
something like that.
Yeah. Like I said, she's a hack. I'm sorry. It created one of the most interesting magical universes I really like.
I mean, something like that is technically kind of minor, I suppose, but it's like when you can't even be bothered to do the proper research to add to your lore. You know, it's like at that point it becomes clear you're not really trying and you're just saying whatever.
Here's my whole thing with J.K. Rowling and what she's been doing with the Fantastic Beasts. Like on some level, I do think it comes down to relevance because she realized that she's in a really unique position as a person who is an author of a still pretty popular franchise. You know, what way to stay relevant without writing new books than coming up with revisionist history. And one of the things that the Fantastic Beasts really suffer for is because the way that she's writing it, she's trying to condense so much stuff into a movie script, but she doesn't realize that movie scripts are different than books and books are different than scripts. So dialogue and stuff. If you watch Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, the way in which they frame a lot of things, it comes off like they're trying to explain exposition. Like literally, like they're telling you it. Like, oh, I'm going to tell you everything that is happening right now instead of actually seeing it unfold cinematically. So it's like they're telling you what's happening. It's just ugh. But one thing I've noticed with her and the whole like, I get the feeling she doesn't know what she wants to do as far as writing a new book. Like, I don't know if she thinks as if she doesn't do something that's not Harry Potter, then it won't get talked about or what. But I think honestly, with the way everything's been progressing, I think Harry Potter was a fluke. And if we were to all go back and read some of the stuff, maybe if we were a bit more critical to it, we'd probably find out that, you know, this is just like the reason why she's able to, why she got away with it back then is because she had better editors, and now that she's unchained, it's like, oh fuck it, the sky's the limit.
If y'all don't control your boy Kojima, that's how you gonna end up being.
No, but that's a common thing when like big name people are like left to do whatever they want. The products they tend to make really aren't that good. Like, like it's like in the gaming industry, for example. You ever notice how every time a lot of big name developers leave a company and make their own game, the game they make isn't that good? Happened with Mighty Number 9. Happened with Cliff Bleszinski Studio.
Yeah.
With like who else did it?
The Initiative.
Wait, who?
The Initiative.
Oh, they put out a game.
They're doing that same thing, just hiring all these big names.
Oh, well, at least that's like a studio.
Well, yeah, but it's like, I get what he's saying though. It's like when you hire all these people and get all these people together and they don't have chemistry, you don't really.
Right.
Yeah.
What was it? Ukulele didn't do.
That's
wasn't as good as Banjo. And how it's looking, because like I actually haven't heard much of Bloodstained. I hope it's good because I
heard the demo. I heard the demo was
everybody
good.
who's played any of it has said it's really good. So.
Okay. So Bloodstained looking positive. Like we're 1 for 4 right now. That's not good. And I think, like I said, I think that they need to understand that it's okay for people to have like some type of, you know, tight rope when it comes to making whatever they want.
Yeah, definitely. Like sometimes you do need somebody to rein you in, because and that's the best part about a collaborative process. You know, it's like look at the Marvel movies, you know, and that's one of the biggest distinctions between the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the worlds of DC as it's called now. They were trying to make apparently.
Yeah, they're just doing standalone films that may or may not be slightly linked, and that characters may cross over, and that's it.
All right, dog. Well, okay, no more. All right, go ahead.
All right, so like compare and contrast the MCU to the worlds of DC. You know, Marvel is spearheaded by Kevin Feige. He is a producer first. He is not a director on these movies, so that gives him the unique position where he can actually oversee everything surrounding it, and it makes it a real collaborative process. So that's why he's able to have meetings with the Russo brothers while also have meetings with Ryan Coogler and Taika Waititi and talking about how these things can mesh together and how they can overlap and how they can tell a better story going forward. Whereas DC was trying to leave things in the hands of Zack Snyder, and then from there it got into a crazy just situation where they had to involve Jeff Johns and whatever his name was, and they switched that, and now there's another guy. So it's very much the same thing with Rowling, except in this case they're literally letting her write all these movies by herself, which is just why.
George Lucas again.
I don't like that.
Man, if you remember, you can go back even earlier. Remember the whole thing with Christopher Nolan? If it wasn't for David Goyer, he would have had Batman shooting people and shit.
Yep.
Oh my God!
Yep.
Didn't David Goyer have to fight to give Batman his cape in the Nolan movie?
He did, yep. Christopher Nolan wanted the cape gone, and he wanted to give him a gun. He wanted him to be a lot more like a masked Bond type character.
God.
And his brother, Nolan's brother too, actually had to fight him on that a lot too. And it's funny too because the first movie that Nolan makes without his brother involved was The Dark Knight Rises.
No, his brother was involved with that.
No, he wasn't. I thought that was the first one. He wasn't.
Oh no, Jonathan Nolan was with it.
He was a producer, but he wasn't like directly involved with the project. That's what I was told.
No, bro.
Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, no, that was Jonathan Nolan. I think he wrote the movie. Yeah, he wrote the movie with Chris.
Oh well, then I have no idea what the hell happened. I
I
really
mean,
don't have any idea what.
I think you know what it is.
Wait. I'm on Wikipedia right now. It says story by. It's just a story by Christopher Nolan and David Goyer.
Yeah, Jonathan Nolan wrote the. Yeah, that's usually how it is.
It was screenplay by his brother Jonathan Nolan, but that's it. His brother didn't direct it. Didn't.
I don't know what happened.
No. Well, no. Here's the thing. Jonathan Nolan's been involved since Batman Begins. He was uncredited on Batman Begins. He wrote the screenplay on The Dark Knight. So it's the same people involved. I think the difference is Nolan just got too much clout. And remember how you were saying how Nolan kind of knew that it was going to be rebooted anyway, so he's like, fuck it, let me end it on my terms or whatever and that shit.
That could be. But I could have sworn that oh god, that is weird because he was part of the reason that Batman stayed Batman. So I don't know what happened.
Like I said, and David S. Goyer is another perfect example because when David S. Goyer is working with the right people, he can actually churn out good scripts. And then when he's not, oof.
Yeah. God. And God.
I mean, very rarely do games headed by like I said, very, very rarely like when people take a project into like their own hands and they've had like a big and they had a big name, like I said, does it turn out good? In fact, it's funny because like it tends to be the opposite. Like with a lot of indie developers, we don't know who they are, and it sometimes is like, you know, one person or maybe like a couple people, but they make really, really good games. Like Cuphead was made by just two people, whereas you know,
yeah. Can we also point out David Ayer somehow made Fury and Suicide Squad?
Again, another example. You just never know what happens. Like,
I mean, I suppose they have something in common in that after watching both movies, we were kind of numb, but for very different reasons.
Yo, man, my girlfriend almost wanted to watch Fury. I said no.
Oh man, dude, why? You don't want to see all hope fade slowly from her eyes? And
if I wanted to do that, I'd watch Batman versus Superman. That my hope definitely faded in that movie.
I wish
Fury was like a beautiful but depressing movie.
Y'all have told me so much about this Fury night, man. I almost wish I could have just seen y'all's reaction.
Dude,
we were at a call together, and we were like quiet for like a full 5 minutes after that last scene. Just
God, and that music did not help either. That music was freaking depressing. Oh God!
Someone asked us. Sony owns Ghostbusters. Could we ever see a Ghostbusters PlayStation exclusive? I mean,
Ghostbusters is an untapped market. I'm so angry.
Remember that game? It took the year by.
Oh God, that game was lit.
Oh, the game was amazing, man.
Wait,
the game was the.
It was a Ghostbusters game.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. The interesting thing about that too is that, believe it or not, you guys know that IDW has the license for the Ghostbusters comics.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, the comics that they did, there was supposed to be like an official continuation of the movies. Actually took the game into account because that was supposed to be one too. Like the rookie that you play as in that game, you find out in the comics, it's like in the second arc, I think, when they're heading across the country. He actually set up a separate Ghostbusters franchise in the Chicago area. He moved off. And he kept his old jumpsuit that still just says rookie, which I thought was kind of a neat tip-off for them to actually have him like be a character, but not like name him or whatever. And Venkman still doesn't even want to know his real name. Same reason, but it's like playful now, I guess. Anyway, but it was cool, you know. Just that game was actually really freaking cool.
I loved the crap out of that game, bro. I loved it so much. I remember I had rented it on 360 and I played through it, and then I bought it again on PS3 because I loved it. I was so surprised that, I mean, I know that was the year that Arkham Asylum came out, and I know everyone was focused on that, but that Ghostbusters game was pretty lit, man. And it kills me that the following games they've done since then have just been garbage.
To answer that question, though, Sony Pictures, owning Ghostbusters doesn't necessarily mean that PlayStation, Sony Interactive Entertainment is going to have access to it, because Sony Pictures does operate as a separate division from Sony Interactive. So what that means is that Sony Pictures is going to try to shop that out to whatever they think is going to make them the most licensing money, which means that it probably would be shipped off again to someone like Activision or Ubisoft or EA or what have you, a big publisher that can get it on all platforms and make them all kinds of money.
Unfortunately.
Especially if Amy Pascal is involved in it.
Also, guys, we didn't talk about EA canceling that Star Wars game.
Oh, yeah, EA canceled the Star Wars game. Everybody cried.
Ooh.
I know you don't. Okay, so this is where me and Danny go back and forth. Danny thinks Star Wars can't be salvaged anymore. I personally think it can. It'll take a lot of work, but
it can.
Unless the only person that can salvage this is Kevin Feige. That's it. No one else.
My thing is like, the only thing they really got to do to save Star Wars. I mean, I don't know I can't say much for the movies, but I'm referring just to the games themselves. If they could just make it to where they say it doesn't have to be canon, then that's all.
No, they can't. They can't do that.
Because the second they start doing that, first of all, that opens them up to all kinds of other problems, because then all the people who keep demanding that they continue the storylines and the other old stuff, they're going to start demanding they do it again, like with gusto. And then you're going to have all these problems again of, is this canon? Is that canon? See, what a lot of people don't realize too is that even back in the old EU stuff, the games were still supposed to be canon when they came out. And like as time went by and certain games couldn't be considered canon anymore, usually because of what Lucas looped back and did. Well, then you had all this confusion, because when they announced this game, this was supposed to be officially part of the Star Wars universe, and it's in the manual and everything else. And then it's not now. So what do you do with that? So they want to avoid that kind of confusion. That's why they just kind of nuked everything and started over in the first place to have cohesion. But honestly, they're kind of back in the same boat almost, though, after Rian Johnson did what he did. So
my thing is like, couldn't they have just in order to avoid confusion, couldn't they just specifically come out and just give it like, if it has like, let's call it like Star Wars like Elseworlds or something. If it has that in the name, it's cool.
Well, they did call the old stuff Star Wars Legends, but the problem is they don't want to produce new Legends content right now. They want to
they want to feed into it because people are making. Then you need to bring this back. You need to bring
exactly.
They kind of already tried that too by letting the Old Republic MMO keep going. And that's already confused people because a lot of people, every time they see new like expansions or events happening in the Old Republic, they're like, "Is this canon? Is this canon?" And there's all kinds of.
So, Chris, you're telling me you wouldn't want a Star Wars RPG by CD Projekt Red? Is that what you're telling me?
I would first off. In order to fix Star Wars, we just got to get it out of EA's hands. It should be like Marvel, where they farm it off to whichever developer is the most competent, and that's how we get the most amount of games and the most amount of diversity. This whole one publisher thing, EA's had the Star Wars rights since 2013, and we've only had two mediocre games.
I mean, look what happened with sports games once EA had pretty much a monopoly on every license. They have the NHL license, they can only make hockey games. They have the NFL license, only they can make NFL games. The only case where I think the license is split between two companies is the NBA, and that's with 2K and that's with NBA Live. And you want to know something? NBA Live is EA's only truly good sports series. And why is that? Because it has to compete.
Yep.
Madden, they just sit back on their laurels. NHL, they just sit back on their laurels. NBA Live actually has to fight to get people to pick it over 2K. And because of that, NBA Live has been one of the best NBA games out there, honestly. Honest to God. Even the loot boxes, you earn them. You do not buy them, you earn them in-game. You unlock them. In-game currency that you earn, and it's not hard to earn. It's not an impossible grind to earn it, and it's all cosmetic. So,
that's one thing. That's one thing I've noticed. Live, I mean, it's still not where it should be, but they've been making some strides, and especially compared to the way 2K has been handling NBA. I mean, look what they've been doing with the wrestling games. Like, they got the license to that, and they're already screwing that shit up.
They trying to it's the VC. Those are two letters that's a pain in the ass. The VC currency, man.
Oh man, I'll just say this much: when it comes to 2K, like this is the first year in a long ass time where just the general dudes that I know skipped over 2K. Like 2K, I mean, if you start losing the general population,
I mean, I was low key tempted to buy it when they put my boy Giannis on the cover, but then it's like, nah, I'm sorry, bro, not even for you. I can't.
Right.
I'll just print the cover up at home and hang it on my wall. There you go.
There you go. That's how it's done. Some last minute questions here. Some of these will take a whole podcast to answer. Okay, it's just more Star Wars. We're not going to get good Star Wars games until EA loses the license. Quick thoughts on.
No sense. Let me say this real fast. It makes absolutely no sense how the only Star Wars games we getting are fucking shooters. I'm sorry. Like that pisses me the fuck off.
Oh, I would kill for like a proper. Well, I would have back when I cared. Would have killed for like a proper Jedi combat game, lightsaber combat. Like, come on. Even another like another Rogue Squadron type game, you know, a flight simulator, that kind of thing. Those games were friggin' amazing. I loved those. Give me more of those.
Shit, man, we can get everything.
We had to get like something that was mostly a shooter with some space missions with controls that were kind of wonky.
I know Chris don't pick up that Star Wars Muso.
Who?
Honestly, if we got to play as Luke and, you know, not like actual awesome Luke who was developing Luke and not regressed bitch Luke, I would love that.
You mean alien teat sucking Luke?
Oh my god,
bro, that when I first saw The Last Jedi, I was like, oh, this movie is dog shit. But then when I got to that scene, I was like, what the?
How in the world was his maturity and his belief in the power of the light so much less than it was back that, like, there was even less for him to even have encountered to make him lose that hope at that point. And yet, like Darth Vader, he watches this guy slaughter entire armies, kill children. Especially if you read the expanded universe stuff now, the stuff that Luke knows Vader did. you know, was like so horrible. But then when he found out his father, he was his father and everything, in that moment where he could have killed him but didn't, and actually seemed to want him to join him and everything, it's like, you know, the very fact that he didn't, you know, just kill me in the name of the Emperor, the very fact that he didn't just kill me when he had me there, you know, and actually showed some desire to you know, whatever, he seemed to actually care about him there. Because he didn't just want him to help him kill the, you know, he's like, we can rule as father and son. There was clearly an emotional attachment still there. And that's why he knew, you know, there's still some good in you. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to bring that out. I am going to do what no other Jedi has ever been able to do and bring a Sith Lord back from the dark side. He did that. But then the second his little teenage nephew, starts showing signs that, oh, he might be being tempted by the dark side, what's this jackass do? Oh, well, maybe I should kill him. Like, I don't even care if he wasn't actually going to do it and it was just something that entered his head. The fact that it entered his head over the slightest little thing that he sensed, instead of, you know, maybe I should do what I did with my father and start working with this kid, you know? No, it's just, you know, for that split second, he actually thought, I should kill him. That is not Luke Skywalker. That is not character development. That is character regression.
But 30 years, people have changed.
I know, but see, that's the thing. That's a consistent theme in The Last Jedi, and oh my God, here I go. I got to stop myself, but real quick, I'll just say that it is a consistent theme that you will see in The Last Jedi, where characters were actually regressed to where they were before, and then developed into what they were at like the end of The Force Awakens, what we knew them as. Like Poe gets regressed into this like cocky, arrogant, you know, like up at, you know, like really, really headstrong, quick-tempered doofus, and it's not until the end of the movie that he's back to being the level-headed, you know, leader that we saw in The Force Awakens. Finn goes back to being this scared, panicky guy, and it's not until the end of the movie that he's back to being the brave warrior that we saw in The Force Awakens, the guy who was willing to try to fight Kylo Ren head on. Okay, that kind of thing. Rey, you know, Rey didn't even go anywhere. Nothing happened with Rey. Like, no development whatsoever. And then when we finally get a little bit of it, we're right back to where we basically were at the end of The Force Awakens, with just a big old question of what do we do now? What's going to happen? Who's going to teach her? Look, yeah, but I forgot. I'm sorry, she doesn't need to. Oh God, here I go. Anyway, the point is, in almost every instance with the characters that we know and love, you see them regress so that they can develop back to where they were. He took them and put them way back here, only to bring them back to where J.J. Abrams had them. And people try to claim that that's character development. No, it's not. It's regression and then putting them back where they were. He's getting credit for making these characters into what J.J. already made them in TFA.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the perfect way to end off the first NXP podcast for 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been quite a monumental episode in what I assume is going to be a great year of podcasts. There's going to be a lot to discuss, a lot of great movies coming out, a lot of great games to play, and we're going to be excited to bring y'all along on this journey. So we're going to try our best every single month at the end of the month, every Saturday, to come on here and podcast with y'all. I'm looking at the schedule right now, and if we're going by the last Saturday of the month, I'm thinking February is a pretty short month, so probably going to be the 23rd. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks from now.
Oh, sweet.
I think that's yeah. So February 23rd. What's up?
Day after my birthday, I should be sober. Man.
Oh shit! No promises though. No promises. So we will see you guys back on February 23rd, guys. Thank you so much as always for being an incredible panel of individuals. Y'all the best.
And just to reiterate one more time, I am actually back on YouTube. So.
Oh shit! That's right. Check out Danny D.
And real quick, this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I'm finally going to do it. This is going to be not something I do regularly, but this one time I want to make an exception. I don't normally shout out other people's channels, but I do want to say any of y'all who are like into funny stuff like Mystery Science Theater, Rip Tracks, that kind of stuff. There is a YouTube channel on here called Robot Co-op. You guys go check them out. They do really good stuff. They have an extremely good production value for the money they have to work with, and they are way underappreciated in Nate views. So if you guys could help them out with that and, get yourself some pretty damn good laughs in the process, go ahead and check them out.
Nice.
All right. Sounds like a plan. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we out. Peace.
Peace.
Bye, Kingdom Hearts 3.
Hell yeah.
All right. I had to get them a shout out. They need it.
I'll check them out. That sounds pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I've been posting links to their